At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! What's going on, all you scallywags, nutmeggers, revolutionaries? It's time for Reese on the radio. Right here on WTIC News Talk 1080. We got plenty of stuff to talk about, plenty of stuff to recover from over the weekend. My arms, my legs, everything is sore. And I'll talk about that a little bit as well. I finally tilled the backyard. If you've ever used a tiller before, I want to hear from you. How do people do that? If you're in the landscaping business, I want to tell you, I appreciate what you do. Because I don't think I ever did landscaping quite like what I experienced over the weekend. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Now, I have to give some sorry news, some somber news for those of you who have just found out about this. Famed child actor from probably one of the most famous sitcoms in history, The Cosby Show, Little Theo, Malcolm Jamal Warner, was pronounced dead today. For those of you who did not hear about that. And it touches everybody. I don't know anyone who didn't grow up on The Cosby Show with those characters on that program. And if there was any of the actors who was, I would like to say, scandal-free as a child actor that we watched grow up and continue with his acting career, as sporadic as it was, a loss like Malcolm Jamal Warner all took us back to our childhood. I know it took me back. But as you know, folks, I have a rule. As your humble correspondent, I don't name drop. And it is always after the passing of an individual. Because, again, I always tell people that when I tell stories about people that I know, it's usually sort of as a eulogy in my personal experience with them. And I have one with Malcolm Jamal Warner. And it may surprise you, but in meeting him and conversing with him back in 2017, I inspired Malcolm Jamal Warner to do something. And I'm very humbled by it. I never really talked about it, but I will talk about it today. Because my exchange with him was contentious and awe-inspiring, as well as it was thought-provoking for both of us. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I may even get the audio of that exchange because it is public. So I will find that audio and I will find it so that I can share it with you. So again, we mourn the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo Huxtable, famously of The Cosby Show, and many other things. He played A.C. Cowlings, as many of you might recall, O.J. Simpson's best friend in The People versus O.J. Simpson. Remember that TV show? That miniseries? I think Cuba Gooding played O.J. Simpson in that movie. And I was so happy to see Malcolm Jamal Warner in that after I spoke to him after he did that role. That was our exchange. And I asked him so many questions about that role. And I'll talk a little bit about that in our Hollywood news at 5 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, people are already in the chat room going like, yeah, Theo, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's how we knew him. So I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So stay tuned for that. We've got new Diquat news from the Connecticut Mirror, which I have to break down, which I find stunning and amazing. That this circular reporting, this baffling reporting that I'm seeing on Diquat, which will stun you as much as it did me. We'll talk about that. We also need to talk about the Hartford Courant did an article called Connecticut Democrats Can't Agree on Whether It's Time for Change. We've got to get into that. I did a Substack article that you should check out about Mamdani and Democrats. You can also find it on the Connecticut Sentinel. I've also got two other articles on that. We'll talk about the other two that's on there because I got to get into this. And that's Russia. And if you've been paying attention to what happened over the weekend on Friday with DNI chief Tulsi Gabbard releasing unclassified documents that have implicated former President Barack Obama, James Clapper, John Brennan, James Comey, Susan Rice, Ben Rhodes, and others in a conspiracy to handicap the incoming Trump administration in 2017. For all of the people who are running around saying, oh, it's a distraction to Epstein. Really? Like that's what it is? Let me explain to you what this is about. One, let's talk about the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. Which, by the way, if you want to read it in detail, go to my Substack. You go to reaseontheradio.com and read the article. The headline is, it was always Trump versus Obama. Always. Because people keep forgetting about these two men going toe-to-toe on so many occasions. Donald Trump, although he was not the first to question Barack Obama's birth certificate, it was Hillary Clinton who did that. But Donald Trump went after Barack Obama about producing his long-form birth certificate. And while everyone in the news media defended Barack Obama and admonished Donald Trump, called him a birther and a racist and everything else under the sun, Donald Trump never relented. He didn't care. He wasn't made by the media. So he pushed back. To Barack Obama's surprise, this guy, that the media is not admonishing him enough, my surrogates aren't admonishing him enough, he's still coming back with a grin on his face, just going, just release the birth certificate, Barack. Yeah, I don't care about these gnats. What, the news media? Yeah, whatever. Who cares? I'm a billionaire. I've got blank you money. Who cares what they write about me? I'm not running for any public office. Just produce it. Forcing him to do just what? Producing it. It was an embarrassment to the Obama administration and to that man himself. He knew it. Fast forward to the correspondence dinner. Everyone remember? Seth Meyers was the MC. He and Barack Obama taking jabs at Donald Trump while he sat there in the audience. Remember Seth Meyers' famous joke? I hear that Donald Trump might be running for president as a Republican. I assumed he was running as a joke. Barack Obama even taking barbs at him as well. Donald Trump, his response was, Barack Obama is the worst president in history. I thought he'd be a cheerleader. Oh, he reduced him to a cheerleader. But he's turned out to be the worst president in American history, Donald Trump said. But again, Donald Trump was running for nothing. Until he was. And he waited until the precise time when he doesn't have to run against Barack Obama, just to make sure Let's see whoever they put up, and we'll strategically go after that person. We'll admonish Barack Obama and go after whoever his heir apparent is. Oh, Hillary Clinton? Yeah, we got this in the bag. Barack Obama went on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Remember reading that tweet? President Barack Obama will go down as the worst president in history. And sheepishly, with a grin on his face, Barack Obama responded, at least I'll go down as a president of the United States, and drop the BlackBerry. Remember? Only to have a couple of months later having to give the keys over to the man who had been a thorn in his side for so many years. His entire agenda rejected Barack Obama's. His entire legacy written in sand, because Donald Trump was going to go in there and wipe it all clean. Everything. He was even going to attack his signature legislation, Obamacare. Or as you folks like to call it, the Affordable Care Act. Whatever. So what do you think Barack Obama was thinking after all of the back and forth to lose an election to Donald Trump, the man who had been a thorn in his side for many, many moons? He staged a coup against him. It was an embarrassment to the Obama legacy.
He probably trashed a whole bunch of rooms.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly probably what I would have done. As a petulant child, Barack Obama is an egomaniac. Donald Trump bested him and Hillary Clinton, the entire Washington establishment. Donald Trump had turned that apple cart over. He exposed it for the weakness that was there. And guess what? What do you think they did? Well, what would you do? You do everything you can to undermine it. Undermine it to the American people. Create such division within it that no one in the Republican Party could trust him, which ended up happening. Donald Trump ended up doing some great things in his first term, but he was completely overwhelmed by the constant interference that was laid bare by the Obama administration. But I want to make this thing clear to you. There are some people who are saying, well, wait a minute, Reese, why didn't the Trump administration go back into all of the archives of the Obama administration and find this out then? I don't know. But I will tell you why it's so important for Donald Trump to be in office now as opposed to 2017. Take this approach. How's Barack Obama doing in the air of public opinion today? Loved, adored, seen as a pillar of a particular group of people's community? Or is his name mud? Is he mocked across those places and ideologies? Yeah. In fact, it is now commonplace to mock, make fun of, dare I say, disrespect Barack Obama. Nobody cares. You want to know why? Because Barack Obama can run for nothing. And his usefulness, well, that's gone. Now, the Trump administration can do anything it wants. And if it leads to Barack Obama in handcuffs, who'd care? If it led to a formal indictment of his inner circle, who'd care? What, the radical libs who think that they would have something to use against Donald Trump in the midterms? They don't have to do anything until after those. Just keep laying out more and more evidence to the American people. Win the midterms with that cudgel. I mean, we're talking about a litany of new documents, new secret declassified documents showing exactly what the Barack Obama administration was doing behind the scenes. All the lies. Just keep laying them out from every department. Make the American people see it. Force CNN, force MSNBC to cover for them and to cover the story. Which, by the way, did you see any reports on that today? Very minuscule. They've saved it for the Sunday shows. We'll see whether or not they talk about it during this week, but I bet you to be minimal. They had Jim Himes, of all people, Jim Himes, talking about how Tulsi Gabbard shouldn't be throwing around the word sedition. Jim Himes said that that's a dangerous word. It's only dangerous when it isn't Jim Himes who's saying it. Here's Jim Himes on January 6, 2021. Today, Congressman Jim Himes released the following statement on the riot incited by President Trump. Quote, today's seditious riot attempting to overturn the rightful election of Joe Biden is the inevitable and tragic result of months and years of lies and incitement by Donald Trump. Yeah, don't throw around that word so flippantly, Jim Himes said. By the way, that was easy to find. Took me 2 seconds. Keep laying bare all of this information about the Obama administration. The midterms are all but a shoo-in. It will continue to lay the groundwork to explain how Democrats cannot be trusted with the so-called importance of democracy. That's what's going to happen in all of this. Let's go to James Clapper. Listen closely to the strange timeline he gives about the events that led to the DNI report, the intelligence report that said that Russia did interfere, even though now we know that in October, the assessment said that there was no interference. Here is James Clapper back in 2017.
Those of us that she named, John Brennan and Jim Comey and I, are part of the group that were tasked by President Obama to put together all the reporting we had on the Russian interference.
Implication number one, tasked by President Barack Obama. We know that's in the memo because Tulsi Gabbard released it. A secret meeting with all the intelligence staff, Susan Rice, John Brennan, James Clapper. Yeah.
And which we did. President Obama directly and personally confronted Putin about the Russian interference in September.
What interference? He confronted him about the interference in September, even though we know that Hillary Clinton was interfering in Vladimir Putin's election. We know that to be. So you're telling me that after Vladimir Putin found out that Hillary Clinton was involved in trying to stop Vladimir Putin from winning re-election after Dmitry Medvedev was in office, you're going to tell me that Barack Obama then went to Vladimir Putin and said, hey, man, don't be trying to interfere in our election. What do you think Vladimir Putin said to him? Get out of here, dude. More of Clapper.
And did not accept at face value Putin's protestations. John Brennan directly did the same thing with his counterpart. On October 7th of 16, we put out a statement. I say we, Jay Johnson, then Secretary of Homeland Security, and I put out a statement, a pretty forthright one, about warning of the Russian interference in our election. This was a month before the election.
Now, he's talking about October, saying that he had put out a warning about Russia's alleged interference or coming interference into the election. We know, because the documents have been revealed, that their assessment found out that Russia did no such thing. But listen to James Clapper. October 7th is the last mention he makes until some months later.
Which unfortunately got drowned out by the Access Hollywood tape revelation. On December 29th, the administration, issued a series of sanctions. PNG, 35 Russian operatives, closed 2 dachas, et cetera. And then, of course, on January 6th, we issued our intelligence community assessment documenting the Russian interference.
So you're telling me that from October 7th to December 29th, there was no briefings, no intelligence that they gathered that James Clapper, Clapper here is telling Anderson Cooper about nothing for months. Nothing. October, November, we get to late December. He just jumped over 2 months, practically 3. But see, here's where it makes no sense. And it can't make any sense because it was, January 3rd? Donald Trump was noticing something very weird about his intelligence briefings. He'd already won the election. He's president-elect, and he hadn't received his presidential daily briefing. So he tweeted about it.
Mr. Trump tweeted this last night. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange.
So you heard Clapper, right? Clapper says he doesn't release it until a week later. Yes. And Donald Trump's waiting on him. He has to get this assessment. He is the incoming president of the United States. They were holding it against him. Damn it. I had so much more to get, but that was okay. We'll come back. We'll tell you much, much more. Let's take a break. We'll be back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, did you hear? It's our birthday, 100 years. Did you happen to get us a present?
Nope. Anyway, I gave you me. Anyway, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, WTIC News Talk 1080. But we'll get to the phones in a second. I got Matty O on the line. We'll get to him because I saw him in the chat room, and I know he wants to opine about this. Bob J. is also in the chat room saying that this takes heat off of, Trump is trying to take heat off of his Epstein involvement. This is his typical smoke and mirrors tactic, fake news. Okay, what is the Epstein involvement of Donald Trump? Exactly. What's the involvement? Now, as soon as somebody can tell me that, I don't care who you are, where you're from, what is the involvement? Because I hear people using the term his involvement, and then when you ask them, nothing, no specifications at all. Can't do it. And I get it. What you're trying to say is, and let me help you, is that Donald Trump is trying to take heat off of the speculation that he's involved with Jeffrey Epstein in some way. An investigation that nobody was interested in implicating Donald Trump in until it was politically convenient for them. That no one was investigating at all while they were trying their damn well best to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. All last year, from everything from getting people to want to shoot at him, to trying to get him locked up, from Fannie Willis to Jack Smith, with all of that stuff, right? Everything. This was the thing they had their hands on, and no one said, hey, I've got this dirt. Donald says, Reese, what's in the dark usually comes to light. Hence where we are here with the D&I stuff. And we know it to be true because everyone's been talking about it forever. Forever. And again, we'll get back to what I was talking about during the break. January 3rd, this is a report from CBS News on January 4th. Donald Trump asking the question, hey, where's my presidential daily brief about Russia hacking? Why is it taking so long? He was receiving them, but all of a sudden he just stopped getting them, which we now know was released, then pulled back, and then revised to go from no Russian involvement, no Russia hacking, to all of a sudden Russia was everywhere. Oh, and here's the best part about this, Donald. Let me help you with this. What involvement did Russia have at the end of it all, after exhaustive investigation by the Mueller Mueller report? What did we find out? Come on. What did we find out? I bet you couldn't tell me. I bet you couldn't. I remember this from memory. It turns out that Russia spent $150,000 on Facebook. What did the Hillary Clinton campaign spend on their election failure. How much money was spent? How much money was spent on Hillary Clinton's campaign? Was it $1 billion? Yes, it was. $1 billion. Found out that independent actors out of Russia spent Facebook ads to the tune of $150,000 versus a Hillary Clinton campaign that spent $1 billion. Everybody found out that the Russian collusion nonsense was bogus. The objective was to handicap Trump's administration from day one until it was over. To influence Republicans as well as the American public that Donald Trump was a Russian asset. Did you watch the Mueller hearings where he finally showed up, where the old man couldn't remember what his own report said? Why? Because he never, ever was in charge. Andrew Weissman was. Did you know that? No, you didn't. Why? Because it's not your job to know. You can come in here as, your little novice, approach towards the news media. I think I remember. I'm not sure. I know that the news media is telling me to say this, so I'll say it. I was watching on CNN, and CNN told me to think this. Stop it. I'm helping you. That's all I'm trying to do is help you. That's all. I'm trying to help you. At least I know that I can provide the evidence of what I'm talking about. Or as the kids call them, the receipts. You got nothing. As usual, you come up short every time. Now, I hate to have to give you this public spanking all the time, but it's not my fault. It's yours. Stop walking into a fight without the info. Just stop. All of you. You're mad at me. Why? Because I have more info than you? That's not on me. That's on you. Back to January 4th. CBS News.
Mr. Trump tweeted this last night. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case.
Now, what was the so-called Russia hacking of John Podesta's emails? What does that have to do with anything? The hacking of John Podesta's emails only revealed what? What did they reveal? What were the most scandalous things from John Podesta's "my password is password" emails? We found out that Donna Brazile was assisting Hillary Clinton in questions during a town hall on CNN. Huh? We found out that they were actually trying to kneecap Bernie Sanders by giving her all the superdelegates, by letting also Donna Brazile revealed in those hacked emails that she was literally giving the Democratic National Committee over to Hillary Clinton, even though at the time Debbie Wasserman Schultz was supposed to be in charge. Huh? What did we find out? That's what they were calling the Russia hack. No votes were overturned, were changed. In fact, there was no hacking of any poll at all. So what was Russia's interference? A couple of Facebook ads and the so-called hacking of John Podesta's emails by WikiLeaks, which WikiLeaks said over and over again, they did not get them from Russia or any other state actors. Many people believe that it was Seth Rich, the murdered intern or DNC employee. Here's more.
Very strange.
CIA Director John Brennan defended U.S. intelligence, saying the president-elect should wait before drawing his own conclusions on Russian hacking.
I would suggest to individuals who have not yet seen the report, who have not yet been briefed on it, that they wait and see what it is that the intelligence community is putting forward.
CBS News has learned the presidential briefing on Russian hacking is not yet finalized by the intelligence community, but is nearing completion.
Why? Why was it taking that long? Remember, according to Clapper, they had been investigating this since October, before the election. But they waited until after the 6th? January 6th? None of that didn't make any sense. Here's James Comey, June of 2017. Make no bones about it, folks. There is no fuzziness about this. Russians hacked. Again, hacked what? Here it is. Did I not do that?
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle.
How? How'd they interfere?
They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community. And the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call. That happened. That's about as unfake as you can possibly get and is very, very serious, which is why it's so refreshing to see a bipartisan focus on that, because this is about America, not about any particular party.
Yeah, it's about America, not a particular party. Folks, we all know that it's bogus now. We all know it is. And you got caught. Your sacred cow that is Barack Obama got caught. The unflappable Messiah is busted. And that's okay. And you know what? Matty O, let me get to him. No, I got to take a break in a second. We'll get to him afterwards. All this idea is like, oh, is anybody going to be punished? Is anybody going to be punished? Yes. Yes, they are. You may not be able to get anybody on sedition. 5 years is the statute of limitations. So they won't be able to touch him. Fine. But I'll tell you what it will do. The reputation of the Democrat Party and anybody who stands up, which, by the way, you notice not a lot of people are standing up now. Jim Himes is the only one who's come out, at least in any public way. But if anybody stands up and they say something like, oh, this is bogus, oh, this is a lie, and then more paperwork is dropped, it's a drip, 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 and everybody starts coming out and saying, no, this is bogus. Drip. Ooh, okay. Do you think it's bogus now? Well, I think it's wrong for the president to be. Anything else? Anything else? I'm going to love every bit of it. I'm going to love every bit of it. Now, I know you guys are sitting up here, Donald, Bob J. I got you. Keep coming. Now, you know, like, look, I don't want to sound horrible here, but before I go to a break, I'm just going to tell you, you know, I live for having you eat your words. So you're getting ahead of your skis because I know that's your role. But you'll be backing away from that commentary real soon. Mark my words, it always happens. We'll take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views, and we'll talk to Matty O when we get back. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
By the way, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080. I want to say this to African-American conservatives who listen to this program. Because I know you've heard this before. So, folks, everybody else, I just want you to take a minute while I just focus on African-American or even Latino conservatives who listen to this program. You are probably going to hear or have heard in your life the quote that I am about to read to you. And I am going to tell you how to respond to it. Let me read it. Bob J. says, it is amazing amazing to me how passionate you are, Reese, along with your comrades, David Webb, Larry Elder, and Jesse Lee Peterson in defense of Donald Trump. Now, what Bob J. is saying here is that all three of those men, including myself, are all African-American conservatives. So he starts off by saying, it is amazing to me how passionate you are, along with David Webb, black man, Larry Elder, black man, Jesse Lee Peterson, black man, in defense of Donald Trump. Amazing. Do you really think he supports you? What that's meant to say to you as an African-American or Latino Republican is that what black Democrats care about is that they are cared for like children. Do you think your daddy cares about you? Do you think mommy and daddy love you? That's what he thinks that's supposed to. Bob J., I don't know Donald Trump. And I'm not this person who needs somebody to care about me, infant. That's not how this works. I don't need people to care about me. I'm sticking up for what the facts are. You think that this is an emotional issue, which you obviously display here. You're emotionally attached to these issues. Why are you defending him? He don't care about you. He's not my boyfriend. He's not my dad. He's not even my uncle. You're looking for somebody like, is that the way you look at it? Do you care about Barack Obama because he cares about you? Is that why you defend him? Because he cares about you? He told you in a podcast or in a speech somewhere, I care about you, and you believed him? This emotional roller coaster that you put yourself through, calm down, homie. Calm down. You're a grown man. You caught up in your feelings. The Democrats really, they wussified you, didn't they? Because now you're over here having a conversation with me about somebody who cares about you. He doesn't care about you. You sound like you're in a romantic comedy. You should leave him. He doesn't care about you. Anyway, Matty O is on the line. What's up, buddy?
Hello, Mr. Hopkins. How come you always get me to giggle right before I come
I'm
on?
sorry. It's not my fault.
So, I normally agree with you on 90% of what you say, but I gotta have some serious pushback today.
That's fine.
Because here's the reason why. We knew all of this stuff 6-8 years ago.
Right.
We knew about all of this.
I don't know if they had it 2 years ago or whether or not, but no, I get your point. But let me ask you this, just on the other side, because I get your point, is that you believe that the bar should be set at criminal indictments of all of these individuals, right? And that's, for you, that's the bar.
Someone.
Right, no, I get it. And again, I'm not disparaging anybody who wants that bar. But I want, from my point of view, and I totally accept your disagreement because I think it's a fair disagreement, and I'm inclined to agree with you more than I agree with myself on this, if this makes sense. Hear me out on this case. Would I like, is my bar to see Barack Obama in handcuffs? Yeah, you crazy? I would love to see that. However, I do understand the long game here, and I believe that there's a lot of short ball being played in the long ball game, and the long ball is to destroy the credibility of the Democrat Party as they continue to defend the nonsense that happened with what they consider the messiah of the Democrat Party. If you destroy his credibility, all the credibility is shot. All of it. And that, I look at, the MAGA movement becomes unstoppable because everyone who agreed with Barack Obama, who worked with him, who assisted in him in this sort of cudgel, this cabal against the Trump administration, they got no wins. That's the reason why I'm looking at it from the perspective. But you are 100% right, and I agree with that. No, nobody's going to see a day in jail or no one's going to see a perp walk.
As long as you go about the subject as this is going to damage the Democrat Party, I'm fine with that. But when you start getting people's hopes up, like someone's going to actually have any consequences whatsoever, it's never going to happen. And it just gets our hopes up, thinking that the justice system is actually blind, which it's not, obviously. And it gets people's hopes up, and then we're all disappointed.
Yeah, no, you're
it
100.
Depends on how you come at it.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, Matt. I got to take a break. Top of the news is coming up now with John Silva. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, let's do the thing. It's headline time. President Trump is asking that the names of the Cleveland Guardians and the Washington Commanders be switched back to their original names, the Cleveland Indians and the Washington Redskins, respectively. If you think this is a good or bad idea, I want to hear from you today. So get on the phones, 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. I'm going to consider it our question of the day. Do you think that we should turn it back? And I think overwhelmingly, people are saying, yeah, man, that woke era is over. You know, I think we still have, Florida State University still has the Sentinels. right? We still
Seminoles.
have, what is it?
Seminoles.
Seminoles. I was saying Sentinels. Seminoles, right. The Seminoles. We also have the Atlanta Braves, so there are plenty of teams, the Kansas City Chiefs, for crying out loud. There are plenty of names that still have, Native American names in them. And from the Native Americans that I've been talking to or talking about, even on this program, many of them feel as though the removal of these names almost erased their history or even their present. So we'll see what happens. Donald Trump is calling for both of those teams to change the names back. Immigrants are now scrambling to find health care coverage after the passage of the big, beautiful bill. This removed illegals from the rolls. A prominent program that Democrats have said was false in its reporting that illegals were on them. Here's Hakeem Jeffries saying exactly that just a couple of days ago.
And under current law, undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for Medicaid, the ACA exchanges, and for SNAP benefits. Not a single undocumented immigrant in this country gets a dime in federal taxpayer dollars for any part of comprehensive Medicaid coverage. Not one.
Not one, he said. But obviously, Hakeem Jeffries has not been reading the news or been talking to representatives in several states. In fact, 6 states and D.C., where, of course, he works all the time. This, according to an Associated Press article, for 20 years, Maria would call her sister, a nurse in Mexico, for advice on how to manage her asthma and to control her husband's diabetes instead of going to the doctor in California. She said she didn't have legal status, so she couldn't get health insurance and skip routine exams, relying instead on home remedies and at times getting inhalers from Mexico. She insisted on using the only her first name for fear of deportation for this report. Things changed for Maria and many others in recent years when a handful of Democrat-led states opened up their health insurance programs to low-income immigrants, regardless of their legal status. Maria and her husband signed up the day the program began last year. According to this, plenty of states, according to this report, including 7 states, including the District of Columbia, have offered coverage for immigrants since mostly 2020. But 3 of them have done an about-face, ending or limiting coverage for hundreds of thousands of immigrants who aren't in the U.S. legally. And those include California, Illinois, and Minnesota. So this nonsense that Hakeem Jeffries is out here talking about, not one, listen to his words, folks. Listen to his own words. We didn't doctor them. This is him.
And under current law, undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for Medicaid, the ACA exchanges, and for SNAP benefits. Not a single undocumented immigrant in this country.
In the country! Someone's lying to you, and that someone is Hakeem Jeffries. Okay? This is the reason why I am not bipartisan, Donald. This is why. Because the Democrat leader, Hakeem Jeffries, just lied to the American people. Not one single person in the country, he says. 6 states, including the one he works in, Washington, D.C. Okay? That's why. That's all. So just come back and say, you know what? Yes, he did lie. Just have the guts. Just have the guts to say it. But I know you don't. It's okay. I don't expect you to. I don't expect you to. It's okay. It's quite all right. Hunter Biden is on the loose again. Oh, folks, Hunter Biden, he is the gift that keeps on giving. He is so upset about his father's ousting, he is taking it out on everybody. I mean, everyone. You want to hear a couple of snippets? You want to hear a couple? Fine. I'll be happy to. Hunter Biden, what does he think about immigrants in this country? Why is he railing against Donald Trump and supporting immigrants in this country? Well, you think that Hunter Biden would have a different take on all of this, but no. He, like the rest of the Democrats, are showing his crackhead ways.
Be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration. You. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your table? Who do you think washes your dishes? Who do you think does your garden? Who do you think is here by the sheer just grit and will that they figured out a way to get here because they thought that they could give themselves and their family a better chance. And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are criminals?
Oh, so Hunter Biden, like Jasmine Crockett, as well as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, oh, hell, the Democrats believe that those immigrants are here to do this slave labor. That's right. And what does he think about George Clooney, the man who pretty much ended Joe Biden's presidency with an op-ed in the New York Times? Well, Hunter's not too fond of him either.
Him, and everybody around him. I don't have to be nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. You. What do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times?
I'm starting to believe I understand what Hunter Biden's favorite word is. He didn't stop there. He's not happy with Democrat pundits. This includes, of course, people like David Axelrod, James Carville, and the Obama brothers. And then he also went after Anita Dunn.
Me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys, who were junior speechwriters in, on Barack Obama's Senate staff, who've been dining out on the relationship with him for years, making millions of dollars. The Anita Dunns of the world, who's made $40, $50 million off the Democratic Party, they're all going to insert their judgment over a man who has figured out, unlike anybody else, how to get elected to the United States Senate over 7 times, how to pass more legislation than any president in history, how to have a better midterm election than anybody in history, and how to garner more votes than any president that has ever run. And they're going to replace their judgment for his.
Yeah, he didn't stop there. And, of course, the man who single-handedly took I want to say probably a sledgehammer to Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and, of course, Hunter Biden, Jake Tapper. Hunter had some choice words for him as well.
Who's Jake Tapper's audience? Jake Tapper?
My mom or something? I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
For real, though. I don't even think it's your mom anymore.
No.
By the numbers, what influence does Jake Tapper have over anything? He has the smallest audience on cable news. And beyond that, I think that the book is right now on Amazon that he put out. I mean, his ratings just went to after he put the book out. You know, they did a 2-week infomercial for it. I mean, it was such a money grab, such a disservice to everybody that he serves with.
I don't know about you, but I think I like this, Hunter Biden. Keep talking, brother. Keep talking. In fact, I want Hunter Biden going after everybody on the Democrat side, just everybody. Anyone who has disrespected your father, you go out there like a kung fu flick and avenge him. You killed my father. I want you to go out there and get your vengeance. That's all I'm saying. And last but not least, the WNBA is making demands for more pay. Now that, of course, Caitlin Clark has given the game more notoriety. And former Russian hostage and basketball player Brittany Griner says that, quote, they have been milking our talents for decades now. Skim milk. It's time to pay up. Players have openly hinted that they're prepared to sit out the 25-26 season if a fair deal isn't struck in collective bargaining agreements. That means he's going to come up soon. So
they're taking it too far.
What's that? What'd you say, Roland?
They're taking it too far.
They're taking it too far? Yes. Roland, you are 100% right that they are taking it too far. And let's break down how far they're taking it. The WNBA has consistently operated at a financial loss since its inception in 1997. with losses varying from year to year based on available reports. Here are the key figures from credible sources. The historical losses. In 2018, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver stated that the WNBA lost an average of about $10 million annually, accumulating at least $280 million in losses since the league's founding. In 2007, individual teams were estimated to lose $1.5 million to $2 million per year, with the total league losses projected at around $400 million through 2010. Recent losses in 2024, despite a surge in popularity driven by players like Caitlin Clark, the WNBA has reported to lose approximately $40 million to $50 million for the season. They're just above Stephen Colbert. A June 2024 report from the Washington Post estimated a $50 million loss, while in October 2024, a New York Post article adjusted this to $40 million, noting it was an improvement over the earlier forecast. The increased losses were partly attributed to investments like a $25 million charter flight program. The WNBA financial data is not publicly disclosed, unlike the NBA, making precise figures hard to verify. Experts like Nola Aga, a sports management professor, note that reported losses may be influenced by accounting practices and tax strategies, where leagues declare losses despite positive cash flow or increasing asset values to justify subsidies or negotiate contracts. It has led to skepticism about the accuracy of loss figures, with some arguing the league's financial health may be better than reported due to revenue growth from $60 million in 2019 to $200 million in 2023. So they're saying that they may be hiding this, but we do know that the NBA is subsidizing the sport. That much we do know, that it hasn't been making any real money. And those are your headlines. Let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Steve is in Andover. Hello, sir.
Hey, good afternoon.
What's up, buddy?
So, going back to your the little piece you talked about with the Larry Elder and
saying that I must be I care so much about Donald Trump. Does he care about you?
So, and forgive me, these aren't my thoughts. This is somebody else's, but I think they make sense. There's a guy on, I believe it's Instagram. Might be Reels, I don't know, on Facebook, but
okay.
I've seen who black guy who makes this really profound little 2-minute speech about comparing white liberals to white conservatives.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, I did see that.
And he talks about how white liberals like to, sort of pound their chest about how they fight for the black community,
right?
Whereas white conservatives will stand side by side and fight with the black community and the black conservatives.
Yes, in fact, I can even paraphrase what you're talking about in this video. What he says is that when he talks to white liberals, it's always this proclamation about how they are doing everything that they can, patting themselves on the back. They do this, they stand for this, they stand for those people, they stand for everyone else. But then he was talking to some white conservatives, and he would tell them about himself, and they would cheerlead him in a sense was, oh, man, that's great, man. Tell me more about your business. There wasn't this sort of talking to him like, how did you possibly get that done? How could you have become that successful? Isn't it difficult for you as a black man? No, they just celebrate. It's like, oh, man, good for you. And they keep pushing.
Well, and that's where I was going to draw the comparison to a local thing, which is Ken Barone.
Yes.
And with the nonsense that Ken Barone always comes out trying to change, the ways that police officers do policing and change statutes in Connecticut, we don't want to stop, anybody for taillights out because inner city people might not be able to afford it. Which that goes right back to, I believe it was William F. Buckley who said the subtle racism.
Yes,
of
the soft bigotry. Yes, the soft bigotry of low expectations.
And it all comes back to that, where that's all that plainly is, where you can make it no matter what you got to do in one sense, and yet, no. We have to help you because you're incapable of doing it.
That's right.
But we're going to make you a poster child for our cause.
Exactly.
And the whole thing is just reprehensible at its absolute base, because you're taking away the very essence of how you're going to give somebody the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we get back to the equity versus equality argument. It all comes back to all that stuff. It's just one big swirling circle of liberal speak and liberal attitude that really is a recipe for disaster.
Indeed. You're 100% right, sir. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. I remember, again, I can't remember the exact date, but I know the reference. So the year is, I want to say 96, 97. If you're in a chat room and you remember this year, let me give you the point of reference. It was when South Park had sent out that Christmas video before the beginning of South Park, the Christmas video about Jesus Christ versus Santa Claus. You remember that, the famous video that started South Park? It was the year that came out, and everybody was sharing it. Like everybody had a VHS or a DVD a video of that. So it's like 1990-something. So it was that year, and it was Christmas that year. And we're sitting around the house, and it's me and my girlfriend Laura, who lived from Danbury. We were at a friend's house in Manhattan, and I was the only black person there. And we were talking about everything from politics to pop culture, things going on, blah, 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 blah. We had just watched the South Park video. We were all having a laugh. And it was just regular, kind of a party atmosphere. People sitting around talking, having a conversation, but very intimate. So everyone was talking at the sort of same time. And I remember this woman from Texas. She had thickest accent in the world. And she kind of looked like Paula Deen. She had her hair up in a ponytail. And she was sitting on the couch, and she looked at me. And she said, "My word, where are you from?" And I said, I was born and raised in Hollis, Queens. "You are just so eloquent." I mean, you speak so well. Now, me, because I've always been who I've been always been that guy. I started howling laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. But her daughter got an opportunity. First opportunity she could, pulled into the kitchen and say, "You can't say that. Well, you can't just say that." So, of course, everybody who was there who knew me knew that I would get, like, the biggest laugh out of that. But there were some people there who kind of thought that was racist and bigoted. Was it? I don't know if it was bigoted. I don't know if it was racist. Maybe bigoted. Maybe at best. I chalk it up as just ignorant. Because obviously where she's from, her experiences with black people may be limited. So when I spoke, for hear her say that, I thought it was funny. That stuff to me is hilarious. I never get offended by it. But that's what this is the constant finding one black kid who's made it and then patting him on the back, just going, "Oh, I need to share your story with our country club because you are an anomaly, young man." Which is in essence is saying most black people aren't successful. So when I hear that, I'm just going, yeah, it's so typical. And again, I talk to everybody who I've ever had a conversation with, no matter where I go. I've never been patted on my back and saying, "Oh, good job there, buddy. Nice for you." No, they meet me and it's like, I don't think this guy would ever stand for somebody pointing out the fact that he's this, that. It's clownish. So when I see this stuff, it's like, I can't believe that you and Jesse Lee Peterson would say this, that, or the third. Because we're not supposed to. And even that's bigotry. Coming from a black guy to another black guy. Sad, but it's true. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. And I'm still teaching this lesson when we return. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hold it. 100 candles on the cake? How are you going to blow those out? Imagine what kind of a mess you're going to make out of frosting.
Speaking of mess, we've got some sad news. If you heard at the top of the hour and maybe in the beginning of the opening monologue, Malcolm Jamal Warner has died at age 54 in a drowning incident in Costa Rica. During our movie news and Hollywood entertainment news at 5 o'clock, I want to share a story about Malcolm Jamal Warner that I've never shared, even though some people were present at that. It's not like it's a private thing, but I want to share some information about Malcolm Jamal Warner. I have a saying here at Reese on the radio about, famous people. I'm not a name dropper in the sense of, talking about, I know this guy, I know that guy. I don't do all of that. I'm it's not that I'm private with their involvement. And I have this saying that says, you don't talk about anybody that you know about them unless you're saying something nice about them in a eulogy type way, which I want to do because I have a very glowing, I had a glowing and great experience with Malcolm Jamal Warner that I want to share. We never met face to face, but we were on a podcast together for a long time. In fact, for several hours. And I want to talk about that experience in a 5 o'clock hour and talk about how I inspired something that Malcolm Jamal Warner did that many people do not know. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So stick around in the 5 o'clock hour when I talk about that. Let's get to the phones. But before we do, I just want to let you know, we got the stupidest thing that I've read today coming up about saving AM radio and punishing public radio. You don't want to miss that as well. The Diquat story. The news has finally caught on to the story after yours truly have been talking about Diquat and Hydrilla for pretty much 2 weeks now. Now, all of a sudden, the news media is engaged. And how does it choose to get engaged? Oh, by trying to thwart mis- and disinformation. But I've noticed in all the reports that there's anything and everything said about Webby, but nothing about me and nothing about the people we've had on this show. No talk about eco-harvesters, no talk about carp, no talk about Candlewood Lake. I find all of that strange. So we'll get into that. And, of course, the latest story by the Connecticut Mirror. You don't want to miss that either. All right? Now, let's get back to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Paisan, what's going on, sir?
Reese, when it comes to sporting activity, nobody's better in the NBA than black men. In the NFL, nobody's better than black men.
Now, hold on. Now, I'll make some arguments for you. What about Larry Bird? What about Larry Bird?
Well, all right, he's the exception. But there's one thing that black men historically do not do well.
What's that?
And that's swimming. What is he doing in the water? They're not good swimmers.
I don't. You know what? I'll tell you this, and I have to. It's so sad that I learned this. So when I took up swimming in high school, at Jamaica High School, I wanted to swim because I remember the first time I'd ever tried it, I was afraid of swimming. Because I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have anybody to teach me. And I got this teacher who was going to teach me swimming 101. And all I wanted to do was to do that. And then as I got older, going to the pool, I noticed all of my friends would not go in. They just stick their feet in, and they would just wade around in 3 feet of water. And I would go, and I was like, do you guys swim? And they were like, no. And I'll never forget it. Somebody said, black people don't swim. And I went, that's not true. And I was so naive about that. I was just like, that's not true. They were like, no, black people don't. And as I got older, and it became this stereotype that people just started confirming. And then
there was an old saying, black people don't swim, they float.
Yeah, exactly. My mom was a big floater because she never swam. But it's true.
Well, where are you going to go swimming in the homeland in Africa? Where? You're going
what, in the Ivory Coast?
Over there? I don't think so.
On the Ivory Coast. No, it's true.
No, I don't think you're going to jump
Hold
in
on.
that one. Now, Italy's got the Mediterranean. That's a different story.
But you're 100%.
But it's just sad, though. It's just sad, though. I don't know, maybe he was in that water a lot. But people don't understand. You could get swept under in a hurry. And if you're not a great swimmer, nobody should be in the water.
That's also true.
Now, me, I don't have a problem with that.
But I don't. Hold on for a second. Now, the one thing that I do know is that most people are novice swimmers. They may know how to swim and they may be good swimmers, but they're very novice about ocean water swimming. And that is, they don't understand the undertow. They don't understand any of that or what to do in the event of that emergency. We used to get public service announcements often during the summer months that used to tell us how to respond if you feel as though you're being pulled into the water or underneath it. They don't do that anymore. But
you watch how many people are going to drown in Connecticut. They're all going to have two things in common. One, they're going to be white, and second, they're going to be under 200 pounds. Because the bigger you are, the easier it is to swim. I prove that.
Really?
I'm like a big elephant in the water, floating around. I mean, I'm not. All I got to do is. You ever see the elephants swim in the water? How come they don't drown at 10, 12, 14,000 pounds? They don't go straight to the bottom because the water holds them up.
Yeah, it's a good point.
These little kids are going in these lakes and rivers and swimming pools and they're drowning. It's a shame.
It is.
They shouldn't be in the water.
And it's
if you don't know how to
very.
swim.
It's very. Well, you know what? you can't really stop a kid from wanting to swim because every kid wants to participate in that.
Well, they should keep an eye on them.
They should. You're right. 100% right. Thank you, Frank. Let me go to James in Windsor. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
How we doing?
Congratulations on your new slot.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, okay, you wanted to hear about Trump, right? And okay, I know why they're focusing on Trump.
Why?
He took a picture with Epstein.
Yeah, but, I mean, hello? In the 2016 campaign, they could have used that then. I mean, didn't they have 27 women come forward and make allegations against Donald Trump for sexual assault or impropriety? I mean, everything under the sun was thrown at him. Epstein was never one of them.
One of them couldn't remember what year or when.
Right.
But they do remember that, like it's almost like Bill Cosby. I don't want to match that. But the women who he had problems with, I think because he stopped cutting checks, that's when they open up their mouth.
How do I put it? I'll put it this way. So the New York Times, has an article today, right, talking about how Donald Trump may appear in one of the files, right? So I just read the story during the commercial break. Here's the thing. This woman's allegation in the article, and her name is Maria Farmer, right? Yeah. They write the story from her point of view. And I'll admit, this story looks to be about 1,700 words. She makes, in the whole article, about 4 paragraphs. In the 4 paragraphs, do you want to talk about her exchange with Donald Trump that she says the FBI should have looked into? Here's what she says. She showed up at Epstein's office in Manhattan, in his swanky office, and Donald Trump looked at her legs.
Okay.
That's the allegation. So again,
but where's the crime?
No. And the New York Times goes through again 1,700 words, barely touching on the focus of the headline, which again, I will go back to the headline. An accuser's story suggests how Trump might appear in Epstein's file, saying that she had one encounter with Donald Trump that they should have looked into. And the encounter, when you read it, he looked at her legs when she walked into Epstein's office.
Well, thank God he didn't look at her butt.
Well, again, this is, again, what I'm trying to understand. They're going through an exhaustive amount of ink to implicate him in this because they know that they're losing ground. When you're at 19% approval as Democrats, you'll pull out all the stops.
Oh, yeah. Even the lies. My mother used to say that if you tell a lie long enough, people don't believe it.
Oh, yeah, but that's the point. But again, I know that there are certain people who are saying, what about the Epstein file? If they looked at this article in the New York Times and they saw how long it was, no one would read it. They would go, wow, I'm not going to read all of this. They don't even get to the subject matter until paragraph 7. So it's a joke.
Exactly.
I got to let you go, buddy. The noise in the background's killing me. I'm sorry. Let's go to Tom. How are you, Tom?
Hey, I'm well. Hey, I'll paraphrase Joe Biden, Reese.
Yes.
You are a very smart, clean, articulate black man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you know what? I will say this, that you can't go into a 7-Eleven without finding one of them in there.
Of course. Hey, I got to make a statement. I'd like your take on it.
Yes.
I feel, Epstein files, we should get that information.
Mm-hmm.
But that's small potatoes. The Russian hoax, Shifty Schiff getting treatment on his home loans.
Yep.
Latisha James doing the same.
Right.
If we don't do stuff on that, I think Trump is going to lose a lot of people. He's going to lose me. Thank God. And who knows for sure if it's going to happen. But, I mean, the border's fantastic. And supposedly we got rid of NPR and PBS. But let's definitely make sure the money's not out of there. But if we don't go after some of those people that outright lied and, the collusion tape, the 50 guy saying it was nothing. If we don't do some type of make a criminal
referral
investigation and really do, if we really don't get referrals, who knows what will happen in a court? But some of these people should at least be brought to trial.
Let me take a minute and ask you a question, and I'll get your response. But you got to give it to me real quick. I'm going to try to lay it out as fast as I possibly can. What would you say to the idea? And I'm on good authority on this one, so I want to throw it out to you. Just want to hear what you think on this. What do you say if I keep Democrats at bay? Right now, they're sitting at a paltry 19% approval, right? We secure the midterm elections. We don't lose any. We don't lose the House. We don't lose the Senate, right? We keep it, even if it's by a razor thin margin. We continue to pummel the Democrats with every one of their policies and them taking 20 of an 80-20 issue. And then we wait until after we secure the midterms with Republican rule in both the House and the Senate. And then immediately after that election, we start dropping indictments on people like Adam Schiff, Letitia James. In essence, secure, because I'm thinking on this level. If we shoot too early, they get momentum back because of those prosecutions, and we lose the House and the Senate. What about waiting? And we just keep laying out the framework for these things and then win the midterms and then prosecute. Would you be good with that?
Yeah, in theory, that would be fantastic. But I'm just afraid we're going to lose people between now and then that say, this is just deep state. Republicans do it. Forget all of it. That's what I'm worried about.
I don't want anything to run out the clock, especially on a guy like Adam Schiff. Retribution must be had on that guy because of all the damage he did in 2017. But I'm just saying that what I would do as far as criminal referrals are concerned, I've got to worry about how the polling data works on that or how the momentum shifts, because that always happens. You can get people feeling sympathetic for Democrats and Donald Trump going after his political enemies. But if you do it strategically, you lose none of that political capital and you still annihilate them politically in the midterms. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, maybe if we go too hard now, the people on the fence might say, they're just going after them.
Exactly.
And we might lose. We might, you know what? You are smart, Reese. You are. You said it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I have to prove it every day, sir. You got to prove it every day. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to the rest of your phone calls. Rudy in Florida is up next. Stick around. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
I'm listening to everyone. All these people are sending me texts and instant messages and all this stuff. You guys are funny. Someone just sent me the Family Guy clip from about the WNBA. I still love that clip. Rama and I always go back on that one. Donald in the chat room. Maybe you don't know this, but I do. So it's best that I just let you know. He says that this program is tailor-made for Republicans. No wonder Democrats rarely participate. That's more out of fear, sir. Believe it or not. That is more out of fear or apprehension. There's a word of the day. It's apprehension, not fear. It's a fancy word for fear. And they do. They do participate. You just don't know that they do. And I appreciate it. So, maybe get some of your friends. They'll love to listen. Let's go to Rudy in Florida. How we doing, sir?
What's up, my man, Carlton?
It's not unusual for me to be called that.
Was that Ben Carson producing the show tonight, or is it Matt?
Yeah, right. What's going on with you?
Hey, well, first, I want to get to the WNBA, but Frank brought up a good point.
What's that?
Well, my grandfather's Sicilian, and he had some side pieces that were
African American.
Yeah, we tried on our yacht when I was a child to go up the East River and find a yacht club to dock at to drop them off, but there was nothing on the East River.
There is no docks on the East River anywhere.
We figured there'd be a yacht club in the Bronx or East Harlem.
There are none.
Like,
there are absolutely none.
So, I'm assuming the reason those people up in those neighborhoods don't own yachts is because they can't swim.
That, you know what? Boating is an interesting thing because that was one of the things I saw growing up in Far Rockaway as well, is that everybody was off the pier fishing. No one was in a boat. They wouldn't even go on boats. I would go on these sort of like group cruises, like group fishing cruises in Brooklyn, and sure enough, I would be one, maybe two other black folks would be on there. Very rare. In fact, when I hear about people going out on there, it's always, I mean, there's a lot of Hispanic guys, Puerto Rican or Dominican. That's a big thing to them. But the black community just didn't do it out on boats. And I've gone plenty of times in my childhood.
So it might be a correlation to swimming. And the other guy stole my Biden thunder when he said,
clean and articulate.
You got the first mainstream African-American, articulate, bright and clean, nice-looking guy. I'm like, so, I mean, I'm hoping our Democrat friend will call up because this show's showing a lot of microaggressions.
Yes.
And they need to be addressed.
Indeed.
And I'm the wrong person to address microaggressions because it's my middle name. But
I can only deal with you for 30 more seconds. So what is your NBA quip, real quick, WNBA quip?
Oh, they need to shut the league down. It's a joke. Did you see the highlights? Angela Reese almost broke the backboard from the 4-point circle. Then she missed like 3 layups and 3 putbacks. And it's like, this league's a joke. They think she's one of the best players. She shoots 35% from the field, gets 12 of her own misses as rebounds, and she's a rebounding queen. It's like the talent level is terrible. And I don't think they could beat Simeon High School freshman team in Chicago. So
yeah, I totally
they lose money every day.
Yeah, no, I was just reporting on
years.
that. Thank you. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
WTIC lost money for 29 straight years. They'd be off the air.
You're right. You're 100% right about that. Thank you, sir. I got to go. Let me get our first check of weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher is back, right? In the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, you back? There he is.
No place to dock this thing.
That's right.
Darn.
I have a great story about him, too. How are you?
Good.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
And congratulations goes to Gerald K. And Gerald K. is from, where is he from? He's from Granby, Connecticut. And he is our recipient today of the Between Rounds dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. If you'd like an opportunity to win, please go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. You got to go right now, REESE on the radio.com to apply in the Between Rounds section of the website. Just go there, fill all that stuff in. Make sure you put in your birth date and your telephone number so that Roland can definitely contact you and the folks at Between Rounds can. If you are someone who has not received any information from Between Rounds, please check your spam folder. By the way, that information is in the email that I send you. So be sure to keep a lookout. If you do not see anything on there, get in touch with me. You can go to, you know how to get in touch with me. Once I contact you, just reach out to me if there's something in there, and then I will forward it to the proper folks to make sure that you are taken care of. All right? We'll find out whether or not there's any glitch. All right? So make sure you do that. ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com to apply to the Between Rounds contest. As you all know, that I am going to be trying to do something the week of August 17th. I've got some other meetings that I need to do, so I'm trying to do something where we can all get together. But Donald in the chat room has got me a little weirded out because, you know, he's saying that I have a lot of haters now, you know, because I refuse to fall in line. How dare you be a black conservative? Not that I'm fearful of that at all. But it was just like, you know, they may be coming to get you. Yes, I know. Well, we're going to do something regardless of that. The objective is to get people thinking. I was talking about somebody about that the other day. The objective is to get people to think. Like, that's all I want. I want thinkers. You know? Look at Matty O. I consider Matty O a friend. He calls here and tells me right to the back. I disagree with you. I agree with you 90% of the time, but you're wrong here. Okay. I hope no one thinks that I would get offended if you disagree with me. I love people who disagree with me. I've been married 4 times. Let's get a check of weather and traffic. Guys who don't have that problem. Jason Caterino, who I hear is engaged now.
What?
And yeah, he mentioned it the other day. He's engaged. He said his fiance.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, buddy. Let us know when the wedding date is so that we cannot be invited. Mark Christopher's in the BS traffic center. Well, we'll get him a gift or something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll get him a new barometer.
There you go.
Get him his brand new barometer and a new thermostat or thermometer.
I would love to know what a good gift for a meteorologist is without like a thermometer or a barometer. What would be another thing?
Yeah.
A weather vane. That would
weather
be
vane. That's
yeah,
good. That's good.
I like that.
How about can you package Mambo Genesis? Can that be packaged? I'm not sure.
So.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We're back, and I know I have to get to these calls in a second. I will, but stand by for them. I got to get into this Diquat story. So that's happening really, really soon. So stand by for that. Stupidest thing I read today, saving AM radio while punishing public radio. I got to get into that. As well. And my Malcolm Jamal Warner story that a person I never thought that I would meet or ever have a conversation with. I got an opportunity to do that a couple of years ago. In fact, now that I count, I want to say about 7-8 years ago. And to know that I inspired him in some way in this medium makes me feel overwhelmed with grief. Now that he's passed on, and unfortunate, when I first got the memo I guess the information, Roland had shared it with me before the show, and I went, holy moly. And I immediately went to, like, disease. I immediately went to, like, a heart attack and all this. I do this. You can't. I'm 55 years old, okay? When someone in your age group passes away, you immediately start thinking about your eating habits. Just do. That's immediately where I went. Well, what happened? What happened? I know it's selfish, okay? But you all do it. Don't make it about me. You all do. Tell me it's never happened to you, Roland, where somebody in your age group passes away and you immediately start going, what was it? Why was it? Why did he pass it? You don't do that?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with me, though. I just want to know.
Really? Just knows? No, I always think my ex-wife made fun of me once when what's his name? George Michael, singer from Wham. When he passed away, he was around 55, right? I think 54. Yeah, I'm almost certain of it. And I mean, I'm creeping up on 50. I'm like, hey, George Michael passed away. She was like, okay, just like, just start thinking about your own, mortality. And she was like, you did not have a history of drug abuse. My man, chill out. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a good point. So, I just, again, so to find out that he drowned was sort of like, oh. Not that I didn't care after that.
I will say this.
Yes.
There are millions of black people that know how to swim.
I know that, but hold on.
I grew up.
Go ahead.
All my family and friends in my neighborhood, we all went to the neighborhood swimming pool with the lifeguards. We all took the classes, learned how to swim the proper way, learned how to doggy paddle, learned how to swim underwater, over the top of the water, learned how to dive off the diving board.
You do understand that this stereotype is that black men do not know how to swim. And I'll go one step further. Did you ever hear the story about the Daytona Beach police officers test? Did you ever hear about that? Okay, so many moons ago, and I don't even think it was 10 years ago, the Daytona Police Department used to have a requirement in order to be a police officer that you had to know how to swim. But because of, the whole DEI thing, and of course, equal opportunity for everyone, they removed the swimming requirement for police officers in Daytona Beach because they said that was disenfranchising African Americans, and most of them don't know how to swim and couldn't pass the swimming test, so they had to get rid of it.
So why didn't they just offer a class to teach them how to swim?
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. Make sure that these guys know how to swim, right? That you at least, and give them swimming lessons as a part of, or in fact, for those of officers who wish to be police officers, have them go. They give them gun training, don't they? Well, they do.
They give them gun training, but that's a whole nother story. There's a lot of scared.
Scared what?
Scared police officers out there with the gun.
Yes, yes, but that goes without saying. They are human.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
They
absolutely.
So anyway, but yeah, that's what I'm just saying. I know that there are plenty of African Americans who can swim. I'm one of them. So, but as I always say, there's a kernel of truth in every stereotype. Okay, just is.
You can't swim?
No, I can. I can swim.
Okay.
I was learning how to swim in high school.
Yeah, I learned when I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I was about that age, forget about it. I'd have sunk to the bottom like a stone. Absolutely not.
That's actually how I learned how to swim.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Somebody just tossed your butt in?
Me and my sister, she kept begging me to jump in to 10 foot. And I kept screaming, no, I'm staying in the 3 feet. And then she kept asking, and she said, I'll hold your hand, and we'll swim up together. We jumped in the 10 feet, got to the bottom, she let my hand go.
She let your hand go?
She let my hand go and swam to the top.
Wow.
And I literally fought my way.
You panicked?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Fought
my way up to the water, to the top. And then she said, I told you, I knew you would make it. And I'm like, but what if I didn't? What if I didn't make it?
Yeah.
Then what? So that kind of took the fear away from going in deep water.
Yeah.
Hello, Professor Reese. That's what I'm going to call you.
That's all right. Thank you,
You
sir.
are smart.
Thank you.
And don't forget our coffee. And no, you are. Anyway, regarding this black, white, red swimming and, black people, they don't swim. And when I was a kid growing up in Hartford, Charter Oak Terrace, I don't want to say, it was ghetto, I guess.
Yeah.
But, and by the way, I don't know if you figured this out yet, but I'm a white guy, which really doesn't matter.
It shines through the radio. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I can go ghetto in a heartbeat. Don't get me going, yo. But, so, that's like saying, to me, it's kind of a racist thing saying, black people, they don't go swimming. Remember the movie, it's like saying white guys can't play basketball. I got two things to say. Larry Bird, and the movie, White Men Can't Jump.
Yes, exactly, which makes me laugh because that movie comes after us witnessing great white players like Bill Laimbeer. The names are endless as far as basketball players of white descent, if you will. So the White Men Can't Jump thing is more popular, as you'd say, or more or less a reference. It was geared towards a particular group of people, and that were more urban and in the hood, sort of. That's who that movie was catering to. But if you know anything about basketball, you knew that stereotype was untrue.
Yeah, but I will say, I'm being serious. It's a known fact that like black men that play they're just, I think they're more athletic than, again, it's going to sound racist, that they're a little better than white players, because I heard that and I watched a little basketball, LeBron James, Michael Jordan,
right?
Dennis Johnson, but and the last thing, real quickly, this swimming thing, when I was a kid, I went to the Musqueam in Rhode Island. I don't like the beach because I don't like getting sunburned. I'm Irish. I get like a lobster, But we went into the ocean, and a big wave was coming. So my friend said, "Just go dive into the wave."
Oh.
So I did. I dove into the wave, and Reese, I swear on my mother's grave, I didn't even know what an undertow was, but I can tell you, when I dived in there and I got sucked into the undertow, I couldn't come up until the ocean let me up.
Yeah.
And ever since then, plus, I haven't been back to the beach. Plus, Don't forget when Jaws came out in '75. I haven't. Hey, listen, Reese, I don't even take
Let me tell you something.
I don't even take a bath.
Before I let
shower.
you go, let me tell you this. I'll tell you that. I knew, Chip, you were going to eventually get around to Jaws when you said you didn't like the ocean, because I'm telling you, it's the reason why I never swim at the beach. It's still to this day. 1975, it's over 40 years, and I still hate the beach because of Jaws. And here's the crazy part. I've still never seen that film in its entirety. All I needed to know it was a film, and I won't go in the water at all.
Just the music. I watch clips of it a lot. Just the music. Dun 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 dun. Yep. Oh, I'm like, no, I'll take a shower. No more baths for me. I won't even sit in a tub. It'll just be a shower.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I don't do the tub thing. Let me do this real quick before we go to break, and I promise I'll get to plenty of phone calls today. The Connecticut Mirror has an article, what was this, yesterday, July 18th, right? Was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago. Diquat among most commonly used aquatic herbicides in Connecticut, documents show. So I went on to read this article, which is, again, about 9 pages long. I went into it. And in the article, they talk a great deal about Chris Webby not knowing what he's talking about, and all of the experts knowing what they're talking about. Now, listen close. Listen close. Here's one paragraph. Chris Webby, a self-described conspiracy theorist and rapper from Norwalk, roused much of the current opposition by sharing videos about the plans with his more than 100,000 followers. In response, multiple officials this week described being inundated with angry phone calls, emails, and voicemails from people demanding a halt to the use of Diquat, as well more threatening messages. The vast majority of people are letting us know what they saw online, most from social media posts, and they're angry, said one recipient of the messages who did not want to be identified for fear of drawing more hostility. A few are using more direct language that has crossed some lines. Webby did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Friday. He's in Europe. You would have known that if you listened to this show or his interview with me. Anyway, after watching videos on social media purporting to show the harmful effects of Diquat spraying in the lake in Texas, other critics have pointed to recently published research suggesting that the exposure of Diquat can damage the digestive system, particularly from consuming food grown using the herbicide. Longtime environmental advocates who are supportive of the Army Corps' efforts along the Connecticut River say they, too, share some skepticism over the use of herbicides in many instances, but that they said the Army Corps leaders assuaged their concern through careful study by the river and the methods used to deploy the chemicals. Okay, let me jump to the end of this, because remember, Chris Webby, not an expert, a conspiracy theorist. And then they go to experts and people who have talked to experts. And then you go to the end of the article here by the Connecticut Mirror. And let me read that to you. After all the, again, 9 pages of talking about Chris Webby, conspiracy theorist, doesn't know what he's talking about, the experts, they end with this. I'm not kidding you. At Paper Goods Pond on Thursday, Berlin, a resident, Bill Grimm III, said he'd been fishing at the spot for years with his grandson. He said he'd noticed crews in the past spraying herbicides, and he'd seen post signs stating that it was safe to resume fishing. He said that he trusted the public advisories and had not noticed any adverse ecological effects. What do you mean he noticed no ecological effects? He's just some fisherman with his grandson. What are you quoting him for? He's not an expert. He's no credible than Chris Webby is. Why are you quoting him at the end of the article? Chris Webby's not allowed. You get to undermine everything that he's pointed out, which, by the way, in this article, Chris Webby, they say, posted videos of people spraying Diquat on top of the water. In the article, they say that we're not going to spray it on top of the water. We're going to spray it in the water. Chris Webby said that he saw it in Bristol. They contacted Bristol to find out anything about this so-called spraying video. Guess what? No response. No one has even come forward to say that the video is false or fake. I wonder why that is. They keep telling us that it's going to be safe and effective. When we come back, I want to read one more part of this Connecticut Mirror article that will stun you about what the Army Corps of Engineers is doing that no one is focused on or paying attention to. This isn't just them spraying Diquat. It's something more nefarious. We'll get to that in a second. Let's get some weather and traffic with Jason Catarina with weather and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, we're back. Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080, WTIC. We'll do the stupidest thing I read today coming up in a second, but I wanted to finish up with this article in the Connecticut Mirror. The headline, Diquat, among most commonly used aquatic herbicides in Connecticut based upon documents. They go through an exhaustive 9 pages talking about Chris Webby, talking about the protest and the press conference that happened in Deepwater on Friday. And the objective of that was to show their support for the use of Diquat and having these folks at the environmental groups there talk about, no, we hate herbicides, but we're okay with this. But there was one glaring paragraph in all of this, and I want you all to read it when you get a chance. And folks, this is why we cannot let up on this. And I said to you before that they're expecting you to. They're going to inundate the airways by saying it's safe and effective. It's safe and effective. We need to use it. We've used it before. Well, you know what? The article is right. They have used it before. That's right. DEEP has authorized it in plenty of lakes in and around Connecticut. But this paragraph should alarm the hell out of you. And I'm going to read it now. Prior to the press conference on Friday, the Army Corps of Engineers announced that it had no immediate plans to resume its studies using Diquat in the river despite having permits in place to do so at 3 locations. Did you catch it? Let's try it again. Prior to the press conference, the Army Corps of Engineers announced that it had no immediate plans to resume its studies using Diquat in the river despite having permits in place to do so at 3 locations. Folks, why is the Army Corps of Engineers talking about conducting studies that use Diquat if at the same time we're being told it's safe and effective? The Army Corps of Engineers is describing it as a study. Well, a study means that you don't have all the answers, do you? That's what I get from studies. That's what anybody would get from studies. Roland, does that sound like the same thing to you when somebody says they're conducting a study of using Diquat? Does a study sound like I have the answers or I'm trying to find them? What do you think?
Oh, yeah, trying to find them.
Trying to find the answers, right? Yeah. I think anybody, right? You don't have to be Chris Webby or an Army Corps of Engineers scientist to know that when you say you're studying something, that means you don't know. Like when you tell your kid to go study, hey, go study. What do you think was stupid? Thank you, Connecticut Mirror. I appreciate you doing this article. I appreciate you being as honest as you are. Folks, we can't let up. You can't. Because once they see that you've shown no more interest in it or that the news cycle's gone away, they'll keep doing studies. Remember, at the end of the day, study's on you. After all, it'll be on you. They'll be studying your liver and your lungs. All of that good stuff. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Jason Caterina's got weather. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Exactly, my friend. The whole damn
The
town's
Iron
going to...
Lung.
Yeah, it was sounding like Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, let me get to the phones now because, of course, they've been on hold for a while, and it's time to get everybody in here. Timmy, what's going on, sir? How are you?
I'm okay. You know, just following the news. I'd like to definitely talk about the death of the soul of talk radio, but can I congratulate the president for wanting to bring back the Redskins? I mean, what is he, Frank from Woodbridge or something?
What's wrong with
bring back?
What's wrong with bringing back the Redskins?
There you go, folks. There you go, right there. Why bring back the?
Wait, no. Hold on. I asked you a question.
Please, I'm from Oklahoma.
Do you? Okay, wait a minute. Do you get to just say that the president is thinking about bringing back the Redskins, and then I ask you a question? This is a dialogue. Okay, what's the problem with bringing back the Redskins? Or am I only supposed to agree with you on this? Can I not ask a follow-up question?
No, it basically, let me explain to folks. A decision has been made by a corporation to change its name to the Commanders, after years and years and stuff. And now there's a threat that they're not going to get any money from the government and everything from Trump unless they change the name back to the Washington Redskins.
So
it's once again, it's.
I just want to get this right. So a Green Party acolyte like Tim is standing up for billionaires in the sports field and their decision to change.
No, I'm giving the finger to somebody who's talking about stuff we didn't need to be talking about.
So what about, so you have a problem with the Seminoles? You have a problem with the Braves? Do you have a problem with that? We have a problem with that name, the Atlanta Braves? Is that a problem too?
The Atlantic Braves,
the Atlanta
I think
Braves.
That eventually Atlanta, they will definitely, sometime in the future, probably,
Are you Native American, Tim?
Change the name, with that whole tomahawk.
Wait, are you a native? Are you a Native American?
Heritage, a little bit, yeah.
Oh, are you like what percentage?
Creek, yeah.
What percentage?
It's like 16%.
Oh, 16%.
It's barely,
so,
it's nothing. It's nothing.
But you are
nothing, that I claim about.
Yeah, you have more.
Myself.
You clearly have more than Elizabeth Warren does as far as Native American heritage. So, as a majority white man, you think that you're speaking up for the Native Americans? You are their savior, sir?
No, I'm not going to fall into that.
Why don't you have a problem with the NAACP? Aren't you sick and tired of me being called colored? Why do you never call for the NAACP to change its name so that they don't include the word colored? And what about the United?
I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
Oh, you're not offended by the use of the word colored?
The word colored.
Oh, you're not offended by that. Oh,
people of color can call themselves. I really actually called about. What happened to talk radio talking about the Epstein situation? Now you've got more information, out that there were like 5,000 financial transactions between Epstein and Trump. And
what? Wait. 5,000 financial, and this means what exactly?
Well, I think it's a little more.
I don't know what you. No, sir. With all due respect, please stop telling me what you think. I want evidence, sir. I want you to prosecute this like you're an attorney who's got to convince me of the facts.
I'm trying to.
Tim, don't let me put you on. Don't let me cut. Don't let me hang up on you. Don't make me do it. Don't come at me with speculation, sir. This show is about facts and things that you can prove, like Denzel Washington said. It ain't about what you think; it's about what you can prove. So, what do you got?
Where are the Rudies, the Joe from Simsbury, everybody else?
You sound like you're deflecting, sir.
That.
You sound like you're deflecting.
Stuff. So they don't want to talk about it. You don't want to talk about it because he's, your guy,
Tim.
And everything.
Tim,
else.
I am
they
talking.
Need a
Tim,
prosecutor.
Tim, I'm going to put. Don't make me do it.
You agree?
Don't make me do it.
Do you agree?
Again, I'm going to ask you, Tim, you said nobody wants to talk about it. Here I'm talking to you about it, and I said, what?
I brought it
Stop
up.
interrupting. Stop interrupting. You obviously don't listen. You obviously don't listen to this show every day because I talked about it at least 4 times last week. So I'm going to say it to you again. You
did not criticize the administration.
I'm not done yet, sir. I'm going to ask you again. You said that there were 5,000 business transactions between Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. What were the transactions, sir? Can you give me a little bit of evidence? What does those 5,000 transactions mean, sir? What are those transactions? What do they pertain of?
If you want to sweep the rape,
you've got 3 seconds to give me something. Give me something. Give me something.
Please hang up on me.
What were the 3 things? What were the 3 things? Give me transactions. What were they for? What were they for?
There was a
goodbye, Tim. I tried. You got nothing. You got nothing. You got innuendo. You got somebody who's talking a lot of smack about something they know nothing about. It's the severity of the accusation. You got Jeffrey Epstein. You got Donald Trump. You got business transactions, which means what? Can't tell me. Stuck on stupid. Can't seem to figure it out. Flailing about. Like I did when I went off that deep end, jumping into water when I was 13 years old and couldn't swim. You're hanging on by a thread. What does it mean? But it's the appearance of impropriety. What's the impropriety? Well, we should investigate that. You had all the time in the world. Now, all of a sudden, it's the most important thing because you think you got something. And it's a healthy distraction for you. Please don't spare me the nonsense, folks. Spare me. You're barking up the wrong tree. And let me say this before I take another phone call. Let's just be fair. Listen very closely. I'm going to say this right now. People are going to get mad at me. But when we come back to it, who's going to be the person that's going to look like a hero? Me. So I'm going to say it again. You're being set up. Because when the goods get dropped and it's somebody you like, you'll be turning tail and not wanting to talk about it at all. Oh, it's just a distraction. Trust me, you're about to get your behind handed to you. You go all the way on the deep end when you start thinking that you got something. You folks are never right, ever. Name a time. Never been right. Everybody here knows it. I've been here long enough to keep saying to you over and over again, it may take years. It could take months. It could take a decade. You always end up with egg on your face. And you're going to be, you believe that CNN is going to take you down a road to victory. You think that MSNBC has got the goods on everything, and you believe them wholeheartedly. And then you get stuck with egg on your face, and then you never want to talk about it anymore. Where are you with the tariffs? Where are you? I haven't heard you talk about the tariffs at all. What was the last thing that you were up in arms about, folks? That you were losing your collective minds about? Huh? Where's that? Where's all the screaming and hollering then? I haven't heard you guys bring up anything. In fact, I'll go back into the archives to go find out the last thing you bozos were screaming and hollering about that you no longer even bring up. You haven't even once, and I said this to you when I first joined WTIC, after you elected Joe Biden as your president, you didn't even have the gall to come back and say, hey, my bad. So what's it going to be? You want to keep harping about this? Wasn't like I didn't warn you. I do it every time. Folks, temper. I told you, never wrong, because I never, ever get ahead of my skate. I tell everybody, I always wait. I listen to everybody, and I listen to all the scrambling and screaming about. And then what? And let's not forget, Reese on the radio was always ahead of the curve. Why is Diquat a conversation today? Huh? Who's been on it longer than the news media has? Huh? Yeah. You still want to come here and you want to challenge me? Why? Why? I'll tell you why. Because you're getting sick and tired of being beaten. And instead of just taking your L's, taking your lumps, and going home, you still want to challenge the champion. Keep coming. I got fight for days. Keep saying it's about worshiping Donald Trump. Keep saying it's about supporting the Republican Party. You got nothing. Your whole stance is bubkiss. Your stance is weak. Every protest, every rally, every outcry, your stats keep going in the toilet. You're the WNBA of politics. You lose every time. Even when you have a winner, you bash that. Why? Why are you trying? You must think, it's ridiculous. I don't even know why I bother with you. Robinson Meriden, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Reese. I got you on speaker. Thank you for picking up the call. I'd like to talk about the Epstein, whatever I'm going to call it, scandal. But if you don't mind, if you could educate me and educate the people that listen to the radio, there's a woman called Maxwell Grizzle, and she brought these children to get raped, Grizzle.
What's her name?
These Grizzle Maxwell or something. She's in jail.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. I apologize. Maybe you could
okay.
discount me. Okay, maybe you could discount me because I don't know the name. But anyway, she's in jail for bringing these children to be raped on video by these people.
According to Pam Bondi, she said she had thousands of videotapes.
But there's security. The guy had a compound.
Right.
And the guy had security, and he saw these little children coming in, and she, Maxwell, whatever her name is, she did not rape them unless you think Grizel did.
According to, hold on, slow down.
But did you
watch? Did you cover the trial? Did you cover the trial at all?
No, I'm just asking.
Okay,
you a question.
so when you ask me a question,
you can educate me.
Rob, let me answer.
I did not watch the trial.
Rob,
I did not watch the trial.
So watching the trial,
that's the answer.
Plenty of the.
So now,
Rob, you got to stop. Plenty of witnesses came forward during her trial, suggesting that Ghislaine Maxwell also participated in the abuse. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly whether or not you're prepared, but just come back and be prepared next time. Okay? If you're asking a question, get to it so we can figure out what you're trying to find out. Ghislaine Maxwell was implicated in the abuse. Okay? She didn't just traffic. Many of the witnesses suggest that she took part. Okay? All right. Let's go to Mark in Windsor. How are you, Mark?
Hello. Greetings to all the men and women listeners out there.
What's up, buddy?
Reese, how you doing? How was the weekend? Good for you?
Oh, I was tilling and doing the backyard stuff, man. Just housework, and my wife was painting, so it was productive. That's the best way to put it.
Good. That's good. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the beautiful thing in life. Hey, I spent my weekend looking through my emails because last week at the end of the week, I had ended our phone call with a great surprise. I was told I was getting yard goat tickets.
Okay.
And so I looked through my email, and I couldn't find him.
Okay. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe I'll figure that out.
Tell him check his spam.
Okay, did you check your spam?
So I'm listening to you. Yeah, that's the first thing I did while I was listening to you. You said check the spam, so I went back and I looked at the spam and it wasn't there.
Okay.
And another thing, I'm a black man. I'm a black man, and I can swim like a fish.
Did you learn very young?
I did. I learned. I learned. I grew up in Charter Oak Terrace, and I used to go to Camp Current.
Okay.
Camp Current, and I wish. Listen, greatest thing in the history of Hartford, Connecticut, Camp Current. That's where I learned to swim in the pool, swimming pool. And listen, I go around and I encourage mothers and fathers. Can your kids swim? Take them to the pool.
That's right.
Take them to lessons. Listen, I know people look at me sometimes and they go, look at me side-eye, but listen, learn to swim. But the other thing is, not just that, swimming in the pool is a lot different than swimming in the ocean.
That's right.
You have that undertow, and a lot of people don't know about that, whether you can swim or not. And I experienced that when I was 13, 14 years old up in Maine. I was up there swimming. I was in the ocean, and this is like one of my first times swimming in the ocean like that. And I'm out there. I had a kayak, and I was swimming. I got off the kayak, and I was swimming along. And suddenly, I'm trying to swim back to shore, and it's getting further and further
away. Oh my goodness! You think you're living in it's like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yes, Reese, and I was just like, man, what's going on? And I know, and I can swim by now because I've been to Camp Current, and I'm, by then I was swimming like the length of the pool. So I'm like, what's going on? And I was tired, and I just said, I'm gonna just rest for a minute, and I just balled up, and I couldn't hold my breath underwater, and so I just balled up and grabbed my knees, and I balled up real tight, and I said, I'm gonna just rest for a moment underwater. And next thing I know, I felt like I was in shallow water.
Wow.
So I put my feet down. Yep, I put my feet down.
Mark, hold on.
Touch the ground.
Hold on. I got to go to a break. I just realized what the time is. We got to go to a commercial break because I got to get weather and traffic. But thank you for calling, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, I never forget the first time I have to deal with an undertow.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, I want to take a moment to recognize the passing of child actor and just actor all around, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who you heard at the top of the news hour, and I've been talking about it since the beginning of the show. It passed away today at the age of 54 in Costa Rica after an undertow pulled him under water and he drowned. And we'll get more and more details about his passing, but I had the opportunity to talk to Malcolm Jamal Warner on a podcast back in 2017. I remember it vividly, and maybe one day see if I can grab the audio from it. It's been a long time. But he and I were in the middle of a discussion. He was a guest on the show, and he and I had never spoken before, and we got into a very, very heavy conversation about Donald Trump's election that year. And Malcolm Jamal Warner and I just went back and forth, and many people on the show didn't want Malcolm Jamal Warner talking to me because of my conservative leanings. Many people on the show are on the left, and I was the only conservative voice. It was a black talk show, still around today. But they didn't want Malcolm Jamal Warner to have any exchange with me. So we kept talking, and he told everybody, he said, no, I want to hear this guy's perspective. I really am interested in it. So we talked for about an hour and a half, and it was extensive. We talked to a great deal on the show. It's just primarily he and I going back and forth. And we came to a very cool and amicable agreement that, you know what, I have nothing against him for his political leanings. He had nothing against mine. He thought it was a great conversation. He had never spoken to a black conservative before. And I was so celebratory of meeting him and talking to him, I couldn't stop talking about it. I was like, Malcolm Jamal Warner is a really, really great guy. To then learn that this year, in June, he started a podcast called Not All Hood. It was a podcast about explaining the complexities of being African American, that they're not all the same. To find out that was an inspiration based upon that conversation, that there were black people who had different points of view. So to find out that he'd passed away while he had begun that venture is very sad. And I'm just glad to have had the opportunity to talk to him. Let's get to some weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christophers in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Reese on the radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
We'll get to the phone calls in a second. Anyway, about that podcast, right? Because of that exchange back in 2017, here was the mission statement of Malcolm Jamal Warner's show, Not All Hood. It says, Not All Hood takes a provocative look at the vastly different lived experiences and identities of Black America. The layered nuances are explored through conversations and guests who share their journeys and versions of Black confirmation about politics, including Black masculinity, love, media representation, infused with pop culture, music, headlining news. The show addresses the evolution, the exhilaration, and triumphs of being rooted in a myriad of versions of Black America. And that was primarily our focus when we spoke back in 2017, is that he didn't have this vision that was like, Black people are only supposed to act this way. And in fact, the host even made a comment about that. I was like, oh, you got to understand, this. He's a Republican, as if to be dismissive. And Malcolm Jamal Warner's response to that was, well, not everybody's Democrat. And he admitted that he was a Democrat and where he stood, but he understood that there were plenty of people with different ideas and different views. So to know he had a podcast talking about that and knowing what the impetus about that is, what about that show was, lets me know that he was a good guy and thoughtful in that sense. So it's sad for him to know that he is gone, because I thought that was he was an important voice in that space. Anyway, good guy. Nonetheless, also, it is important that somebody just asked me, was like, you're never wrong. All right, there's plenty of archives that you can go to. If you think I am, go point them out, because I just want to know who's coming back to me today. By the way, if you know someone or know something where someone's calling me up and just going, hey, Reese, remember when you said such and such? Have we had that phone call yet, Roland? Can you recall when someone who disagreed with Reese has come back on the show and says, hey, Reese, remember that time when you said such and such, you were wrong? Anybody? Have we had that phone call yet? I'm sure we would have played it by now, right? No? Nothing? I didn't think so. He's probably doing something else right now. That's all I'm saying. That if there's something out there that you think that I was wrong about, you'd have brought it up by now. But you were wrong about the tariffs. You were wrong about inflation. Remember all of those issues? You were wrong about the polling data. You were wrong about Elon Musk. You were wrong about the third party. Remember Elon Musk was going to do the third party? Oh, you're concerned about Elon Musk's third party. Already crashed and burned. People have stopped talking about it. Huh? What happened? What happened? I don't know. Anyway, let's go to Mike in Hartford. How are you, sir?
2 questions quick. Well, I got more after that. How many hours of sleep do you get a night?
About 4.
You must take a whole bunch of multivitamins.
I do take a multivitamin. My wife made me get on it a couple of months ago. I take it every morning. I take 2 of them. But I've never been a sleeper. My entire life has always been about 4 hours worth of sleep.
I marvel at your preparedness for your show.
Thank
I
you,
really do.
Thank
I mean,
you,
you're every day you're prepared. You're fired up, and I ask myself, how does this guy do it?
I really do love it. It really is. It really is a love.
Yes, you do. Yeah. That's how I felt about baseball when I played. The best part of baseball was hitting. I loved it.
You know what? I wish I had. I will say this. I wish I had some other passions that I shared with being a talk show host. There are a few, but I have a couple. But I wish I had just as much energy for that.
I was having a whole day until I heard Tim. Tim made my day.
Well, he's not. You have to understand he's not. His biggest problem with it is again the point that I make often with this show. Following the media narrative of the things that you're supposed to be outraged about is not really covering or following the news. You know, some people have a tendency to believe that if something is repeated over and over again, that's what everyone cares about. And then when they see the nuts and bolts of what's going on, they're always surprised. What do you mean they're not concerned about it?
Do I have time for 2 more quick items?
Yes, real quick.
Well, the first one, that game Saturday night was an abomination. That WNBA All-Star game. They ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Why did you watch it then, Mike? Why would you watch it?
I watched it just to see. It looked like a wax museum. 10 players on the court standing around.
Was it? You know what? Is it because we are at – I believe this, that we are kind of at this state in sports where we're thirsty for anything sports related. So because it's on,
they'll come out with the excuse, well, we didn't want the players to get hurt. Hey, that looked like a high school girls' dance, all girls. I'm telling you. And what was the other one? I can't think of the other item.
Yes.
If you're looking for a place for that night out next
event.
month,
yes.
I've got one in mind, and I think the best part of this place, I'm not going to reveal it, is the parking.
Okay.
Plenty of parking. There's 200 spaces.
Okay.
So keep me in mind.
Okay. Okay, I will.
And it's local.
I'll definitely think about it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Let's go to Mark in West Hartford. Hello, what's up, boss?
Hey, you forgot to ask Mike if there was a handicap ramp. Just how old is this guy? Who worries about parking spots? Mike, come on, you sound a little bit youthful.
Well, he was suggesting that it has 200 parking spaces if we have a bunch of people there. That's all.
Oh, my God. I hope I got to walk a half a mile because I'm still blessed that I can walk a half a mile.
I hear that.
So, hey, listen, you were wrong a little bit about something, and you know I'm going to bring it up, or maybe you probably didn't know I'd bring it up, but
that's okay. Bring it up.
That's the Connecticut Republicans. You know, Thursday night you called me, you gave me a heads up.
Yes.
And of all the things I went over, I took a screenshot of my calendar. Of all the things I had an appointment I've been waiting months for, I could not rearrange it. I couldn't go to that press conference, so I did the next best thing. Thursday night, starting with the most name-recognized Republicans, Rob Sampson, Greg Fishbein, of course, Senator Harding, because he's been involved, right?
Right, sure.
And, so I reached out to him, emails, phone calls, through their social media accounts. I reached out to the RTCs in that area, just trying to prompt somebody to show up there. Because if they showed up, not to interrupt it, but you at least would have been able to provide a soundbite.
Yes.
To the media and then provide a response to what they've done. But I got to tell you something. I've done this for years where maybe not to this extent, but, it reminds me of what I did a few months ago, and I got to repeat it. They knew Chris Murphy, Blumenthal were coming. They knew some of us were going out there.
That's right.
I'm not a registered Republican, and they didn't show up for that. So I'm thinking like this time, because Harding, and I'm so sorry, what's the other guy's name? Because I reached out to him too. I don't have my.
Fine. You're talking about Fishbein, Harding. Oh, and Martin.
Who else?
Henry Martin.
Yeah, exactly. So I reached out to him too, and they not only did not respond to me, but obviously, they didn't show up there. So then the worst thing after that, I said, well, maybe on their social media accounts, they recovered, and at least they had responses within the next 48 hours, whether it was Friday night or into Saturday. Craig Fishbein on his, no talk at Diquat, no talk about that press conference. He was talking about the low-hanging fruit with the kids being handcuffed under 14.
Yeah.
That I guess now So, is that an issue in Connecticut? Hey, Greg, I'm suffering over here, trying to pay my bills. I'm worried about public safety.
Right.
14-year-olds being handcuffed. That's an anomaly.
Yeah.
And that's not really an issue in Connecticut.
You know what?
Senator
You're 100%. You're 100% right about this. Okay.
Let me tell you what Harding did. Harding talked about, what do you think he talked about? Electric bills and taxes.
Yeah.
Then I go to Rob Sampson's account, and he has nothing on Diquat or that press conference, but I am invited to a pizza party. These guys talk about out of touch. Another missed opportunity, but it's got to be intentional.
I really don't. Let me help you. Let me help you here. Now, first of all, I will say Blumenthal was underhanded and a little, vicious in the sense of putting the press release out 18 hours before the event. That was to keep everybody at bay, telling everybody who needed to be there, and those who could scramble showed up. Thank goodness they did. Because, again, it gave some opposition to it, and these guys didn't get to run roughshod over everybody in Connecticut. People who have their fears about this did show up. Now, I will say this. I'm going to put this in a way that matters, not that counters anything you said. Mark, have faith in one thing, if not them. Have faith in me. What I mean by that is, I promise you, I am going to change the way business is done in Connecticut in a political way that is going to be long-lasting. But I need your help to do it. Trust me when I tell you I'm going to go in there with a campaign for this show and for the people of Connecticut that will get these people to respond, and we won't need Republican backing from anyone, and we won't need their sound bites or their press release. This isn't to say that they can't come along for the ride, but they won't be stealing anybody's thunder or taking the lead from us. The objective is to get the stories that are important out to the public. Let's leave that aside. If you really believe this, Mark, that those people are no help to the cause, let's stop using them. If you really believe that. Are you with me on that?
As long as you I'll be on board with you if you're on board with me, and don't allow them to utilize your show to gaslight listeners to come and do one and
when
done.
When did I do that?
Visits.
Do I have a rep? Hold on. I have no history of that.
No, you don't. No. I'm going to preempt your change. I just want to make sure that if your involvement is going to also now have regular visits from these guys, because they already do it.
Oh, I know the drill, my friend.
Terrific.
I know the drill.
I'm just hoping that you won't now give them a platform and go unquestioned coming on and then a back and forth, and then there's introduction. There's a guy down there. I'm not even going to tell you.
Wait, I don't want to get into the weeds. Hold on.
But I just want to tell you how bad it is in Connecticut.
No, Mark. I know how bad it is in Connecticut. I know with radio hosts, but I want to ask you this before you get into the weeds, because trust me, I don't care about other radio hosts, but I want to ask you a question about this particular radio host myself. I want to ask you this: what so far in my history has given you the impression that I do radio like those guys?
No. You see, now you got to get me to say it twice. I'm saying as long as you commit to not being like.
Okay, no. But have I ever been? I've been here 3 years. I've been here 3 years. Have I ever? Do I sound like any of those guys? Do I do my show like any of those guys?
No.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. So don't expect me to change so I can be more like those.
No, not so much that you be like those, but if you expect to get those guys to be on board. You know what they're going to say? Sure, I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk with you. And then the next thing you know, they're going to have a regular weekly guest spot. You want to know something between you and I'm going to tell you and about how many of your thousands of your listeners. You know what just spooked me last year? Warren Shattuck knew nobody in Connecticut, and he befriended Rob Sampson near the end, only to get gaslighted. This guy he's a shill. And I could not believe that Shattuck, he was here for 3 years. I used to go on there. I would warn him. He believed me about people I would bring up. Hey, watch out for Mike Lawler.
Let me respond to that real quick. Let me respond to this. Let me tell you this. Okay, listen. I understand that there is a common theme in this business of doing sort of things like that. I get it. I know that is. Many of these programs have sort of made its name by having that person on. Oh, I'm going to have this person on my show. Blah, blah. I understand that. And again, I got nothing against them doing it like that. And the reason why, and I've learned from a very, very early days of my radio career, that means nothing to the audience. And in a lot of ways, it causes them not to trust you. As I can see from you and plenty of others who are diehard listeners of WTIC, my intent, if anything, is to, one, get people to think, but also to get people involved. And it's not going to happen if we're doing the same thing as usual. So I have a completely different game plan that is proven without a doubt. So you can trust me, Mark, and
Gotcha.
I would never tell you to trust me.
Hey, before we get off the phone, Rudy from Florida is pounding my phone. He did it with Bob Duff. Bring up Bob Duff. Bob Duff.
I got Bob Duff. I have Bob Duff once.
For Bob Duff.
Yeah, right.
Well, it doesn't matter. It made an impression on Rudy. Rudy, I'm going to get off the phone.
I think he's wrong. I'll be happy to answer him. Thank you, Mark. Bob Duff. Are we really still talking about Bob Duff? He turned that into... Oh, that was just a mess. Anyway, we'll be back. Let's get weather, traffic, and some news.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
We'll be back with what had happened was in a minute, but somebody who called in earlier didn't get a chance to come on, so I want to take them now. Jane is in Bloomfield. Hello, Jane. How are you?
Reese, I hope I can at least get your blood pressure down a little bit. But I wanted to get back. I know you're so funny. Great show today.
Thank
but what I want to say is I'm a Redskins fan, and I want them to come back again. Everybody that's Redskins, we love the name. Why they changed it to the Commanders? What the heck? That doesn't even sound like a very professional name. And
it was so political. That's all it was.
Yes.
It was just political.
Oh. Well, I hope we can get it back because I still call them the Redskins, and I refuse to wear a Commander's hat. I will wear my Redskins, whatever I've got, and if I can ever find some other Redskins, but I do hope that we can bring them back. So
couldn't agree more. Can I read something to you that Mark P. said that echoes your sentiment, but in a different way? Mark P. sent me a message. He goes, as an Army retiree and veteran, I am insulted and triggered that the Washington Commanders are run and played by a bunch of people who had never served in the military. Which is brilliant. It is so brilliant.
Well, that's good between him and me. Right. And you're laughing. We got to keep your blood pressure down. So that's good. So I hope we both made your day, honey.
Thank you. I've always appreciate that. I promise you, I don't get that exercise. When I do, you'll know. But Jane, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You got it. I know it sounds like I go over the top. I always say to myself that I know exactly how to bring it down, because in my head, my sophomoric humor never stops because I could be completely ticked off about something and then I throw in a joke. And I've done this since I was a kid. I'll say something, I'll be outraged about something, and I will hear and see something funny in my outrage, and then I've got to say it. Like there's something comedic in me. I got to throw in that little funny jab, because people will see me when I'm screaming. Dare I say it? Roseanne says sometimes when I get angry, it's scary if I'm upset about something. And I've heard that before. So I've always got to find a way to tone it down. So I have this little switch that goes off and says, say something funny, say something lighthearted, so that people don't think that you're off the deep end, like you're about to lose it. So I try to keep it very even keel. Let's go to two people I know who are much more mild-mannered than I am. Jason Caterina's got weather, and Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS traffic center. I would love to see you angry once.
Oh my God! Just come during the day. Anytime I'm near a computer and I got to get something done.
Really? And you don't get
like
when you
today,
can't get the stuff you're looking for?
Yeah, like today I had to print out a PDF, and it said, it ended up in my spam file, so it wouldn't print out. So I had to forward it there, do like 9 different steps to get it to print out.
Do you slam your hands down on the desk?
Oh yeah, of course.
A couple of curse words come out.
You should see this phone right next to me. It's like I'll take a picture of it and send it to you. It's been broken.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is. You know who it is. You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Whoa, wait a minute. What is going on? Is that new shoes? What, I can't wait?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, what's the news? This I gotta hear.
Ain't no news, man. I just wanted to bring back a music for one good time.
How the heck did we get that?
I was going through a bunch of 80s songs the other day, and I came across that one, and I said, man, I used to love this song as a kid. I don't know why I loved it so much, But I just something about the drums and then the
that song, which a lot of people don't know, was something we thought was the second coming of the Tom Tom Club. Now, you'll remember the Tom Tom Club. They had a song called Genius of Love, which was then sampled famously by Mariah Carey and Old Dirty Bastard.
Okay, yeah,
Remember
I know
Fantasy?
that song. Yeah,
New
I know that
York
song.
in the house. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So the original song, in fact, there's a great story behind that because the Tom Tom Club is a husband and wife duo. And when Fantasy came out by Mariah Carey, their daughter heard the Fantasy song and was singing it. And the mother and father tried to express to their daughter, do you know that's our record? They go, no, it's not. She goes, no, it's not. And then they pull out the old vinyl and say, it's Mom and Dad. And so they surprised her with that. She never knew it. But New Shoes, which, again, is a white female singer, white male, I guess, programmer or whatever, is behind New Shoes. People thought that they were the second coming of the Tom Tom Club and Genius of Love. And I loved that song. That was a big record.
I was like, has anybody sampled this or used it? I think so, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember who either.
But somebody should. I would have thought one of the big producers in hip hop like Timberland, Pharrell would have took that because that's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a great
song. Maybe
it
costs too much though.
Now, does that mean that we're okay with playing music?
No.
Okay.
I just did something I wasn't supposed to do, just to get some good feeling going.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate that.
It's Monday.
Yeah, exactly. Mark the Shark just sent me the picture of the phone that he damaged. Oh my goodness, Mark does indeed have a temper. I've never had that happen to me. Never did I do anything that bad. Before we get out of here, and I'll see if I can grab a couple of phone calls in this as well. Poor Public Radio, which was the stupidest thing I read today, is an article that was written today that says that, people are upset that Congress has clawed back the $1.1 billion, some of it that goes to public radio and to public broadcasting, PBS and NPR, of course, to be specific. And people are saying how the damage to rural areas and small markets are going to be. Well, look, I'm just going to say this as a person who is a competitor in this marketplace. And let me speak for the fine people who work in sales and brand management and operations managers, CEOs, and all of us, and all the work that we do in this business. None of us get money handed to us. Everybody who works here in this business has got to scrape, and I mean scrape. They have got to talk and call and bust their hump, not just so they can keep their jobs, but so that we can make this medium profitable, while another particular network just has money handed to them in the tune of millions of dollars, where they can use it for anything that they want to, and they don't have to scrape, and they're complaining about people's salaries that may be cut. Or people, we deal with that every day in this business. That's the nature of the beast. That's how we fly at the seat of our pants. Roland, myself, Janine, Steve, Stephanie, sales departments, all of them. We're not having some sort of sigh of relief here to say, like, oh, thank God. No, we still got to work hard. Now you do too, just like everybody else. Now you don't get any gimmies. Some of the people in this state don't even like you, but yet their money's going straight into you and you don't even serve them. You get their money and you don't even work in their best interest. You sound like an everyday Connecticut politician, and how dare you turn around here and cry and moan. Join the club, join the rest of us who work our butts off, producing something that's worth listening to. And if indeed you are as good as advertised, you should do fine. But if you don't, and you fall by the wayside, then it would be what we always thought, that you had a hand up and somebody was putting their thumb on the scale. We'll see you on the battlefield. Can't wait. Just wanted to get that out there. Just wanted to get that out there. Now, let's go back to the phones. Steve's in Waterbury. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Before I get into what I was going to mention, you or Roland remember the Double Dutch Bunch by Frankie Smith?
The Double Dutch Bunch? Are you kidding me? Of course I remember. I don't know if Roland remembers that. That may be ahead of his time.
That was 1981.
Yeah, I was 12.
Okay. I'll do the math there.
I wasn't born.
Yeah.
That being said, somebody like yourself, you're talking about, being right or whatever. When you're looking into something, you do your research.
Gotta.
Somebody like Tim, he just seems to have a hate towards Trump, Republicans, or whatever, and he's just going with the flow and to believe anything it seems like that somebody tells him.
Well, it's lazy. Steve, let me stop you there. It's laziness on the part of folks like Don, and like Bob J., and like Tim. And let me tell you what I mean by the laziness, right? It's never doing the research and taking their news media outlets for granted by saying, let them do all the heavy lifting, right? By just informing them of the news, being drive-by media media receptors, right? So the news media tells them what they're outraged about, tells them what they believe, and then they're met with opposition on what they're told to believe, and then they're flummoxed. They're just like, well, I didn't go that far. Well, stop being lazy.
Right. I mean, it may be their friends telling them too, but now the topic of you being wrong. I really don't care whether or not you were ever wrong. But if I had to try researching that, I think I'd go to the Friday segments when you talk with Roseanne.
Okay. Touche. You're not my friend anymore.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just, you know what? You're 100% right. There, I'm constantly wrong. Because you know why? Because I'll tell you why. Because I don't do enough relationship research. You thought that I would have learned from my other 3 marriages. But of course, we get around the 4th. And I think that I've done all the work, but I haven't. I have to be reminded every day that the stuff that I don't like to do, like listen, is one of the things that I fail to do. And it's always, my wife says it to me all the time, Steve. She goes, you don't listen. And she's right. I don't. I got to work on it. I keep saying I'm going to work on it, but I don't. And I have to stop being lazy in that regard. So I'll take the L on that.
We all got room to improve, my man.
There you go. Thank you, boss. I appreciate you, man. You too. White Mike is on the show. How are you, sir?
First of all, dude, the reason you don't listen is because women don't have anything worthwhile to say.
Don't get me in trouble. Move on.
No, I'll say it. I've never had my day made better by something a woman said to me, except if she said, can you take your pants off?
Wow. I will say this.
No, dude,
I used to have a saying, by the way, that I said, look, and again, I often say this to my wife, and women are going to be mad at me about it, but I said, I don't believe that women have ever talked themselves into a happy place. What I mean is their scrutiny is always they're always going negative when they think about something. You give them an opportunity to think about something. It's never about something that makes them happier. It's always something that makes them feel either worse about themselves or worse about a situation. And I don't know if that's wrong.
Unless they're 40 pounds overweight and go to a movie premiere, then the world will tell them they look awesome.
All right. Now we're going to get in trouble. Go ahead. What else do you got?
Dude, who's on your shirt? Is that Lindsay Lohan?
You figured it out. I was wondering who was going to bring it up, but there is this a burger place that we went to that had this T-shirt, and I looked at it, and my wife says, I think that's a picture of Lindsay Lohan. And it is. Lindsay Lohan was at a French movie premiere, and she fell down, and this is that caption. It's a picture of her. Yes.
Oh. And here, I'm going to blow your mind now. I have an album review and recommendation real quick.
Go for it.
No kidding. Miley Cyrus's new album, Something Beautiful, is fantastic.
Is exactly
it's
that,
complicated, and it's really good. This thing happening with her voice with the Reinke's edema has given her kind of a smoky grittiness. The songwriting's solid. The production's great. I'm glad she didn't die. I think she got past her craziness and made it because it's a good record. It's called Something Beautiful. You might like it.
Okay. All right. We'll check that out. Thank you, White Mike, as always. Thank you.
safe.
Yeah, Mike is really, really good on the music stuff. I've checked out everything he's ever mentioned here, and they've all been good. And I will say this about Miley Cyrus before I get out of here, okay? Never in my life that I think I would say it again about a singer outside of Dolly Parton, because only one woman pulled it off. And, of course, as you all know, Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You is far better than the original version by Dolly Parton. Nothing against her. And then Beyonce did Jolene, and that's straight garbage. I mean, straight trash. Or as we say in Italy, garbaggio. But Miley Cyrus's version, live version of Jolene by Dolly Parton surpasses that of Dolly Parton. It is incredible. So to know that Miley Cyrus has a song that's good, look, I'm not going to lie. That kid is talented. She may be crazy in some cases or off her meds, as they say, as a terminology, but she's a great talent.
I don't think so. I think she had to do all that to shake the Disney brand.
Yeah, exactly. I think so, too. I think that now she is on her own. She's no longer Disney fodder and all that good stuff. But, yeah, I will give – I give that I agree with White Mike. If he says Miley Cyrus is good, I'll take that bet any day. She's a talented singer.
I would date with Miley Cyrus.
You would date Miley Cyrus?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
I mean, there's something about her I thought was weird.
She's weird and talented.
Oh.
What more you want?
That's the reason why you like her. She's weird and talented. He's got weirdness going on. Anyway, tomorrow on the show, I didn't get to it today. Connecticut Democrats can't agree on whether it's time for change. I will break this down to you because it's all about Connecticut Democrats really just not being able to embrace this idea of being a big tent. Now, folks, I will tell you this. This is what they think populism is, being big tent. Can I give you an example real quick? This is Minnesota Democrat Chair Richard Carlborn. This is what he said in front of Democrats yesterday.
Let me say this very clearly. We are a Big Tent party. We are a coalition by definition, the Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Our party is made up of farmers and laborers. Our party is made up of progressives, environmentalists, feminists, democratic socialists, gays, lesbians, bisexual, transgender. We come from different places. We come from different spaces. We represent what is best about America. Our differences are our strength. If you want to be in an authoritarian party, go be a Republican. We are not a top-down party. We are a bottom-up party. We're going to build this coalition together.
So that is what they believe is the new strategy. We'll get into that tomorrow. They believe that they are a big tent party and embracing socialism is the way to go because they know that's growing. That's going to be rejected. Yes, Tim, you're lazy. I'm sorry. Now, you can curse me out and say F you all you want in the chat room, but that's the definition of being lazy, so that you have to curse at me. Just do the research, my friend. Come back here the next time you say you want to pass, you want to say that Donald Trump did this and that, just do your research. That's all. That's all you have to do. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You, don't be lazy. Some people hate that word. We'll see you next time. Jason Caterina's got weather. Mark Christopher is in the BPS.
Double Dutch bus coming down the street.
You're trying to get them all in, aren't you?
Doing the old school here, baby. Oh, yeah.
That beat was crazy when I was a kid.
This is a great song.
It is. Anyway.
Senior year in high school, maybe?
No, I was like 12.
No, I was.
Oh.
I'm a lot older than you. But senior year in high school, man, we were rocking the bus when this one came on. Hey, have a great night, Reese. If you are heading into Hartford right now, westbound 84 is slowing, approaching the bulk.
All right, brother.
All right,
Bush Avenue 84 eastbound moving real well now. Farmington out into
Ready for the week,
Southland
baby.
Edgewood, top of the brakes at 33 Jennings Road.
Oh, I ain't hear you.
I said I'm ready for the week.
That moves
I'm
well
excited.
downtown.
Oh, yeah, it's ready to rock. Ready to rock.
You got it, boss.
River.
All right.
Moving well, Glastonbury and East Hartford. Quiet middle.
Tim, you don't have to curse me out because I called you lazy. What's with the FUs? Because I said you're lazy. Is that an insult to call you lazy? You know better than that. You get your purge. What are you mad about? I'll give you an opportunity. All you had to do was to articulate exactly what all of those transactions, 5,000 of them, were about. But you didn't know. And it's the air that something was inappropriate that you're trying to suggest. That's all. You have no evidence to support your claim, but some ridiculous reporter said there were 5,000 transactions, which means what? The follow-up to that. Now, if he's on MSNBC, you think anybody was going to ask him, well, what do you think those transactions were? Or what were they? No. Because the objective was to throw dirt in the game. Let's dirty up his name and say there were 5,000 transactions. Okay. Donald Trump is a businessman. Right? Right? Where did Hunter get all of the millions of dollars? Where did Biden get all the $1 million? What did they sell? They're real estate guys? What are they running? Nothing. Nothing. At least with Donald Trump, you know that there was something to sell. Remember all of the failed businesses, right? Remember all of the bankruptcies, right? The guy used to actually sell stuff and go bankrupt, running risk with those businesses. So there were transactions like, what did Donald Trump do all of his life? Do you think the only thing he's ever done was be on The Apprentice and run for president? Is that the only thing you think he's done? You know that's not true. So you think that you could come with, just articulate anything based upon the question. I let you talk. You can't do that anywhere else. I let you talk. I let you dig your own grave. And you couldn't get anything. You got flustered. And all of a sudden, you wanted to change the conversation. All of a sudden, it's about Mark in West Hartford or Rudy in Florida or this person and that person. Why? Because you're caught in your own laziness. Because you didn't do the research. You just thought that you heard something on TV and you were going to jump on the radio and talk about it. And it's not like you haven't been here before. Tim, listen to me. It's not like you haven't been here before. But instead of learning from your experiences with me, you come back with the same tactic. I'm going to say something, and then when I'm challenged on it, I'll scream racism, bigot, and homophobe. Why? Because either you're disrespecting me or you're disrespecting yourself. Either you don't take me seriously or you don't take yourself seriously. If you seriously want to have a conversation with me about what you believe or what you think is true, come here with that intent instead of just bloviating or trying to get your voice on the air. I'm trying to have a serious conversation with you. Everybody else has written you off. Everybody else has told you that you being on the air is a waste of time. And you prove them right every time you get into a toe-to-toe with me. So, show me up. That's your job. That's your directive right now. Show me up. Do the work. If you think you got me dead to rights, don't come up here flummoxed about a follow-up question. Don't do that. Right? Otherwise, you're only going to be met with opposition. You're only going to get frustrated or screaming and hollering, or you're going to end up cursing me out, saying F you. I'm trying to be productive. I was. In fact, I'm engaging. No Democrat has ever been told they couldn't come on this show. No liberal, no leftist, even people who have no identifiers has ever been denied access to this show. And Bob J., when I tell you that they're afraid to come on, you know they are. They don't have to be afraid of me, but they're afraid to challenge me. And if they were prepared, they'd call. Bob, you too. But you don't, because you can't. You're in the chat room because you can't come on the air and be toe-to-toe with me. Because if you weren't scared, boy, you'd be on that phone every day. You can't be. I wonder why. Something about your identity online is phony. You made up an account weeks ago, months ago, just to be on the show. You can't even show your true identity. That doesn't sound like somebody who isn't afraid. You don't think I've dealt with you guys like for years? Not a novice here. God bless you, man. You guys have a great day. I will see you mañana.